Hello everyone, Sumit this side. I was continuously getting a lot of requests that Sumit sir, can you please bring Git and GitHub on your YouTube? So I thought of why not release around a 4 hours of super solid content like a course, free course on my YouTube channel so that it can help a very big crowd, right? Git and GitHub is super important from an industry perspective, because when you're working in real time, definitely you would have to check in the code, right? You should know about branches and a lot of things, right? Because this is not something which you are working as on your just local project. You have to again think about deployments and all, right? So this is very important. Now, in case if you do not know about me, my name is Sumit Mittal. I completed my master's from NIT Trichy in the year 2013, and since then I've worked for companies like Cisco and VMware, majorly around data engineering space. For last 5 years, I have been training working professionals on data engineering, and I offer a ultimate data engineering program, which is a very extensive program, a 7 to 8 months of solid roadmap in order to complete that. And this is a program which have impacted many careers in a very positive way. So if you want to know more about the program, you can check the link under the description, right? So I'm sure you would have subscribed to my channel because I'm coming up with a lot of content and lot of interesting content which will add a lot of value to your career. So if you have not subscribed yet, do subscribe now, and let's quickly get started with the Git and GitHub course. Hello, friends, welcome again. So, in this session, we will try to understand what is Git and GitHub, right? So, when we are trying to work on projects in our companies, we require some version control systems, and that's where we work on things like Git and GitHub. So, you will get to know all these details. So, Git and GitHub. By the way, both of these are two different things. It's not one and the same thing, and you will get to know the details. For those who are already working on projects, whether software engineering and all, you would be aware of these things, but still, I will try to cover to whatever level required for you to work on projects efficiently. Okay, so the very first question is, what is Git? What is Git? Right? So I would say Git helps you to provide versioning of your code, right? For example, let's say you are writing some piece of code, right? I'll write it. You are writing, let's say you are writing code and you have written code for feature one. Feature one in the sense you have written some code, let's say, for some feature. Now, this is all working fine and all. Then what happened? You are writing code for feature 2 and you realize that okay, now everything is breaking and I want to go at the same level when it was working. At this level it was working, you want to go to this level. How will you go? Now you cannot manually remove things thinking that I did this to add more code and all, after that it stopped working. No, so there would be way that you would, I mean, directly say that I want to go to this point when I have done feature one, so that you will get this code and you can start here from scratch again, right? So that's the beauty of version control system, that versions are maintained and you can anytime go back to the previous version and have a look, right? So it's like you were doing something till, let's say, yesterday. Today you wrote some piece of code and you see that everything starts breaking. You want to go back to a version which it was yesterday, the same code which it was yesterday. Now you cannot manually remove things. You can take a smart way, and if you use Git you can easily reach to that level. I hope this is clear. Okay, so this should be clear that how it helps you version your code, and we will see that practically, right? Now also, when talking about big projects, multiple people work on the projects. multiple people work on a project. If it's a big project, many people collaborate and work on a project, right? So how do people collaborate, right? So might be when there is a project, you see think that initially there is some code. I am saying it as base code, let's say, which let's say three developers are taking, and developer one uh, developer one, let's say he added feature one on top of this base code. Developer 2 is working on some other feature. Developer 2 is, let's say, working on feature 2. Developer 3 working on feature 3. Developer 3 working on some other thing. Let's say you are writing some Spark code, PySpark code, someone is writing Scoop code, someone is writing Hive code. Think it this way, right? So this could be the scenario. Now, if there is no such collaboration possible, then developer 2 would wait that okay, once developer 1 is done, then I will take his code and work on top of it, right? Developer 3 will wait for developer 2 that okay, once feature 2 is developed, then I will take this updated code and work on it. But can we wait for someone in a production environment or in a real environment? No, right? We have to take whatever code is there and start working on it, and Git will provide us options to merge the code and so on later. Everyone can start working on the base code directly, and later we can see how this can be merged all together. That you will understand later, right? So no one has to wait for another person, rather each can work on their own copy of it, and later things can be merged. I hope this would be clear. So this way, I mean, Git provides us a versioning control system, and it helps us different developers to collaborate and so on. So that's why it is very very popular. It's open source and very very widely used, right? I hope this would totally make sense. Okay. Now, kind of you would have got what is Git, and once we see practically, you will get more exposure towards that. Now, what is GitHub? What is GitHub? What is GitHub? Now, to let you know, Git is something which is local. Think like local. Think that Git is local on your laptop or computer. And what is GitHub? Think it like a which is website which is remote, right? So generally we say local means Git and remote means GitHub website or a portal where you can host your code. For example, what I'm trying to say, let's consider uh, let's consider you have some project. You develop some project, let's say lending club 01, right? Or lending club project. Let's say this is the project you develop. Let me give it a name also, 01, just because we might be creating 01, 02 for demonstrations. Let's say this is my project which I am creating on my local, on my laptop, right? Now, ideally, when you see the big data projects, right, especially PySpark, this would have a certain kind of structure. Like I'm not planning to tell the structuring now, but since we are discussing about Git and GitHub, let me give you a slight structure that how exactly your project structuring looks like. So let's say this is your folder under which you would keep your code. You would generally have a configuration folder, right? A conf folder. I'll tell you what will be there inside this. You will most likely have a lib folder, right? You will have conf, you will have lib, and you will have a main file which is like the entry point for everything. Everything starts from this main file. I'll write it entry point, and we call various functions or methods from here. That means everything starts from this main.py. It's a Python file .py, right? So you will have a conf folder, lib folder. I'll tell you what most likely you will have in these folders. You have main.py, which will be the entry point generally, and then you would have, let's say, a file called logger.py to handle logging. To handle logging, right? So I am talking about the most simple structure. It can be getting more complex and all, but you should have an idea that how a basic project in PySpark would look like. So you would have logger.py where things related to logging would be kept. You will have main.py which where you kind of create the Spark session and call various transformations from here, right? So this would be the structure to it. And also you can have something like transformations.py where you will keep your transformations, right? But where would you keep those transformations? You will most likely keep it under lib, right? So in libraries you might have utils.py where you would keep your utility functions like creating spark session, because you would need it, like, this is a utility thing, you would need it at many places, let's say, right? So creating spark session or any such utility function, you can keep it here, right? So that you can reuse it. Any such function which you feel can be reused, you can keep here in utils.py so that your code looks more modular. I hope this is clear. Okay. Inside lib, we can also have, let's say, transformations.py. You can give it any other name also, whatever you feel. And this would, here you would write all of your transformations, right? Whether it's cleaning related, processing related, all of it, right? All the transformations. I hope this is clear. Later I would show this structure practically also, but right now my intent is not that. I just want to give you an idea how a basic PySpark structure look like, project structure look like. So I said main.py, the entry point from where you call various transformations and all. Transformations actually you write here, right? Spark session you create here, but you would just call it from main. So main is like a wrapper, right? Logger.py to handle logging, and utils you have understood to create any such utility functions which can be reused, and transformations.py where you used any of your transformation like renaming of columns, joins, group bys, all of it, but you call it from main later. Okay. Now under this configurations, you can have Spark related configurations. Like you can have a file called as spark.conf, and inside this you can have configurations like, for example, what is the app name, right? Application name that we give while creating the Spark session. So spark.app.name. Let's say we say lending club because it was a lending club project we were doing. Let's say spark.executor.course equal to 5, spark.executor.memory, let's say 10 GB, things like that. So any such things which are related to Spark configuration you can mention here. You can also have your project related configurations in one other file inside this conf. So you can have like project.conf, right? These are not Spark related configuration but your project related. For example, you might say my input file path, input.file.path. It's something which you are defining, not system defined, right? And you can give the path here. It can be slash user slash uh, slash user slash some username, whatever path it is. You can give the path here for the input, right? You can mention your Hive database here, hive.database equal to, let's say, retail db, right? So I'm just giving you a basic feel that when you start working on PySpark projects and you start, let's say, there is already a project done, then you might find a similar kind of structure in your organization. Sometimes the structure might differ, but most likely it will be on these lines, but it depends on organization to organization what they will make it. I hope this is clear, right? So you have, again I would repeat, you have folder conf, you have folder lib will have utils.py for containing utility functions, and transformations .py for all the transformations, PySpark transformations. Conf folder will have two kind of configurations, one is Spark related, one is project related, right? And then main and logger. There could be more files and directories based on need, but this would be the minimal structure that we can think of, right? Okay. So where were we? So let's say you want to create a project, right, on your local, right? So uh, let's say uh, what I would do is, let me create a, let me go to my terminal. Let me go to my terminal. I am using a MacBook, right? And I can, you can normally create a folder on Windows by right clicking and all, but since I'm more comfortable with command line, I will be using that. So let me go to my desktop, cd desktop, and uh, here I will create a folder called as, let's say, lending club project 1, lending club project 01, right? Mkdir is to create that directory or a folder. Okay, so if you see, I have created this. Now what I will do is, I will do a ls, and I can see lending club project 01. So what I would do now, I will get into this, I will say cd lending club project 01, so that I am navigating to this folder now. And I can say pwd to check my present working directory. This is my present working directory. Under desktop, I am inside this folder. Okay. Let me clear the screen. I can say clear. Okay. Now I can try creating this kind of project structure, right? So I can create a conf folder, lib folder, main.py and logger.py. Let me do that. So I will say, first let me create main.py, vi main.py, right? And I can write something here. Let's say I can say this is the main file. I'm just writing it like this, and let me basically put a comment and save it, right? So I have created this main.py. I'm not writing the actual code, I'm just giving you a structure that how it would look like. Let me create logger.py, vi logger.py, right? And I will say this file takes care of logging and setting up logging levels. Okay, logger.py is done. Then I would create this conf folder and lib folder, right? So I will say, so these are folders. So I would say mkdir uh, lib. I'm creating a lib folder, and let me go to this folder now. How to navigate? I will say cd lib, right? And now I will create utils.py, vi I would say utils.py, and let me say this is a file to contain utility functions like Actually, the entire code would be there in these files, but I am not writing the code, right? Because I want to teach you Git and GitHub, not how to maintain this, right? Okay, like creating Spark session. Okay, so utils.py is done. Then what we have? We have, let's say, transformations.py. So vi transformations.py, transformation 1. I'm just writing this transformation 1. Okay. So I have worked on this lib. Now let me create this conf folder. So I will go one step back because I am inside my lib right now. So I'll say cd dot dot, and I can see my present working directly. I am inside my folder right now. So I can create this conf folder using mkdir conf, and I can go inside this conf folder cd conf, and I will say spark.conf vi spark.conf so that I can put spark related configs, and let me just put these two. Let me just put these two. Okay. And I will create project.conf vi project.conf. Okay. And let me just put this one hive.database, right? So kind of I have created a basic project structure on my local, right? Ideally on your local also, it's not that you would create it using terminal or something. You would use most likely an IDE, right? You would most likely use an IDE like Visual Code, right, Studio, or you will use PyCharm. But Visual Studio Code is very trending these days. You can try using. I will also show you that, right? So anyways, for now, I hope you are clear and we have created this project structure, and I will just say ls. You can see ls hyphen ltr. You can see we have uh, main.py, logger.py as files, and we have these two folders which contain few files inside. That's great. Now this structure is on your local, right? This structure is on your local. Now if let's say you want others to collaborate on it, then it cannot happen in your local. It has to be kept online at certain place, right, on a certain portal. So basically lending club project 1 is called as a repository, right? So lending club project 01 is a repository, local repository. Now this has to be hosted online. This, so I will say it's a local repository right now on your laptop. This has to be hosted online, right? On some website, a platform, on a website, right? So that we can maintain things, others can see, others can download that, all of that, right? So one is, this is local, which we have already done. And what I am talking about, if we host it on a website, that will be remote. It's not on your system, it's remotely present somewhere, right? So this local, whatever we deal and we work on, right, in terms of Git, right? When we say Git add, when we are making changes to Git, all of this happens locally. This is Git software which works locally. And whenever we upload it to GitHub. GitHub is like, you think it is a website or portal or a dashboard where we upload things. I hope this would be clear, right? So GitHub would have a website, and the website is github.com. I'll just show that. Since I am already logged into a account, you can see this. I am already logged into my account. I'll tell you how to create account also. So I can go to my profile and you can see this. Right? For example, I have a project, let's say sales project, right? Cleaning.py, processing.py, 2 days back, right? It's again a sample thing. So all of this is uploaded. Anyone can get the code from here. Anyone can basically clone the code using this link. I'll tell you that. But understand, GitHub is a online website where we host the code, and Git is working locally using Git, right? I mean, kind of that you work locally. Git is on local. GitHub is on remote website. Now GitHub is one of the most famous this thing platform, but otherwise also there are lot of other such platforms or websites where our code can be hosted. Some of them again are, if you see, Bitbucket, Bitbucket, GitLab. These two are again quite famous, but GitHub.com is most widely used. But otherwise, Bitbucket also you can explore, GitLab also you can explore, so that your code is hosted there. So these are what? Online platforms. I hope this is clear. So with this, I feel you would have a understanding about what have we talked about. We talked about what is Git. It's to maintain versions of your code so that you can go to previous version, right? And multiple developers can collaborate on this code base, right? They can work on their own features, later merge the code, which we will see shortly. I said Git is on local. GitHub is a website where we host that repository. A project folder is called as a repository, right? I have also given you an idea on how a PySpark project structure, the minimal structure that we can think of, looks like, right? We have main.py, logger.py, and then we have configuration folder and lib folder. I have talked about it, so I will not go into it now again. And I said, since I have shown this on my Mac terminal, idly to create such projects, we do not use terminal, rather we use a IDE like Visual Code Studio or PyCharm or any such IDEs, right? If we are writing Java code and all, then Eclipse is most famous one. So I'll show Visual Studio sometime later. Then I created a structure in my local, and I even showed you how a GitHub uh, page looks like. So I'm showing you my GitHub account. I'll show how to create an account and all. But I wanted to give you a feel that GitHub is a website, and there are many other websites like that. Some of the famous ones are Bitbucket and GitLab. But most probably in your organization, github.com would be used, right? And that's kind of it. With this, you have understood or you got some idea about Git and GitHub and how a basic PySpark project would look like, and you have got some alternatives to GitHub, right? So in our next session, we will continue and I will tell you how to install GitHub and how to get a Visual Studio on your laptop, right? So with this, I will stop the recording and I hope you like the session. Thanks a lot. Hello, friends. Welcome again. So, this is the session 2 in the Git series that we are learning, right? Git is quite important. We should know uh, about Git and GitHub because these are very, very essential when we start working on projects. Okay. So, in the previous session or the session 1, we learned what is Git, we learned what is GitHub, and we got an idea about a basic project structure, right? So these were the things that we have learned at a high level. In this session, let's continue our discussion. And the very first thing that I will tell you is how to install Git, right? How to install Git. So Git is something which you will install locally. Git will be installed locally on your laptop. Okay. And as you know, GitHub is a website where we will create an account. So first thing that I will tell you here is how to install Git locally. And second thing I will talk about is how to create. So I will say how to install Git on your laptop, right? And how to create GitHub account online. Of course, this will be online. So this is like remote and this is local. Both the things we will see. Now, just to let you know, I am using a MacBook, right? So for Windows users, I will try to create a document and upload, but the steps should be more or less the same way. But still, I will try to create a document with step by step instructions and I will upload for Windows users. Okay. So very first thing that you have to do is there is a website called as gitscm.com. Gitscm.com. So go to a terminal, go to the browser and open this website, gitscm.com, right? And here, since I am using Mac, it shows me download for Mac, right? You would get an option for downloading for Windows. You do not have to go with GUI clients, right? You do not have to go with that, right? So you will find an option for download for Windows. I am seeing it for Mac. And for Mac, the instructions are very straightforward. So it has multiple ways, but I will tell you, if you have homebrew installed on your laptop, right, then it would work easily. How do I check whether brew is installed on my MacBook or not? So this is related to Mac. For Windows it would be downloading and clicking next, 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 and things will happen, right? So let me go to my terminal. Let me clear the screen and I will just say brew. For me it is installed, right? So this is just one of the ways. So if you do not find anything when you type in brew, if it says command not found on your Mac terminal, right? So I am talking about terminal in Mac. In MacBook there is a terminal. How to open terminal, right? That's how you open it. Okay. So if you do not have brew installed, click on this install homebrew, and there is just one this command. You take this command and put it here, and you put it like this, right? It will happen. In my case, since it's already there, let me not run that, but just giving you an idea. So homebrew will be installed with this once you put this command, and then you can once brew is installed, you can say brew install git. That's it, nothing else, and it will take some time to install it, right? For Windows users, you will download and then it will be a exe, and then you will say next, 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 and things will happen. But anyways, I understand setup can be a pain and would differ on Mac and Windows. So I will try to put a document which is detailed for you to give you the steps along with screenshots, right? So you can check on the portal for the document where you will find the step by step instructions if you are getting stuck. But ideally, it should be very straightforward. Okay. So that's about it. Now, since I have already installed Git, I will not run this command, right? So this command actually takes some time to run. Uh, how would you verify whether Git is installed successfully or not? you will say git hyphen hyphen version, and you can see my git version is 2.42.1. So git is installed and this is the version I have, right? I hope this is clear. Okay. One thing more, like I have a terminal and all these commands I will be writing on terminal, right? Because I am not looking at a GUI mode for this. Same way for Windows, you might be thinking where to write this command. I'll just write it here. On Windows, on Windows, instead of terminal, you can get you can get git bash, right? So when Windows users are installing Git, right? When Windows users, if you are on Windows and you are installing Git, you will see checkboxes that what all you want as part of this Git. So one of the option there would be Git bash, right? Git bash would provide you that terminal. When you double click on it and open that Git bash, you can write the commands like ls, it will show this. So there you can perform Linux kind of commands, Unix kind of commands basically, right? And you will be writing all of these commands in your git bash terminal. So this will also be like a terminal in your Windows where you can write all of these commands just like I am writing on my Mac. So when installing Git, make sure you select the option of Git bash so that you get this Git bash installed on your Windows, and you can double click on it and start writing these commands the way I am writing on my MacBook. I hope this is clear. But anyways, I will try to provide these instructions to you, through the document that I will provide. So we are good, and I am assuming that you will be able to install Git without any issues. Okay. Now, uh, I showed you Git hyphen hyphen version, or even if you say Git, it will give all of these commands, right? That means Git is installed and it's working. So that's one thing that you should be knowing. Now, many a times, right? Many a times, or most of the times, when you are developing something locally, let's say when you are developing PySpark code or any code locally, you would not do it on like by right clicking, creating a folder, or using a terminal. No, you would be most likely using, I'll just close this. Yeah, you would be most likely using an IDE, which where you might be using Visual Studio, right? Or you might be using PyCharm, or you would be using Eclipse for Java or Scala related things, right? So any IDE is best preferred to develop the code and all of it, right? So how do you download, let's say, Visual Studio, which is one of the most famous IDE these days? So you can say VS Code download. VS stands for Visual Studio. VS Code, right? Download. You take this, put it on this, and it will give you instructions to download. A straightforward. I click on first link and I get an option to download for Mac, right? I get an option to download for Windows. For Windows, you would be downloading 64-bit, of course, right? So that's how you can download it, extract it, and of course, the instructions would be very simple on how to uh, get it installed. Next, 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 and done. Right? Again, I will provide a document where I would be showing about this because I already have it installed without any issues. So I cannot show you the installation steps as of now. So I will give you a document with the steps, but ideally it should be very, very intuitive and straightforward, right? So that's how you would download. And since I have it, I can open Visual. So I will just say Visual Studio Code, and here I open this. This will be open, right? And I see this screen as and when I open Visual Studio Code. So whatever project I have done, right, or I created on my this thing, so I can even import that. I will say open. I created on my desktop, right? So I can just bring it. So I will click on desktop, and here I have this Landing Club project 01. This is the one, right? So I can open this, and you can see I can see the project here, and this will be very easy to work on. Here I can work. I will get lot of advice from the IDE as it is intelligent and so on, right? Lib folder will have transformations, utils, and conf will have configurations, right? Color and all would be appropriate so that I understand which are keywords and all of it, right? So IDE will have its own intelligence, and it becomes very easy for me to work on it, right? So this was the project which I created, and I have loaded it here. I could create a new file using this. I can create a new folder using this button, and so on. As simple as that. So most likely you would be working with a IDE like your PyCharm or your Visual Studio, right? I am showing Visual Studio because it is very widely used these days. Okay. Now the same terminal. So you would need your code, and you would need a terminal to work with Git so that you can check in your code and all of that. How do you get the terminal here, right? You can click here, and here I will get the terminal, right? I will get the terminal here. I'll clear the screen, and I will say present working directory is this. I can say ls. Everything would be, it's as if I'm using this terminal. It's equivalent to this. So I have both the things, a proper structured code and a terminal to work with. So this is a perfect setup for me, right? Okay. So ideally, whatever commands I perform from here, I can perform from here too. And this will be super handy. So what we have learned in this session till now, where is my notepad? Okay, huh. So what we learned how to install Git on your laptop, right? Git is installed, of course, locally. So I showed you on how to do it on Mac. So if we have brew installed, you have just a single command to install brew also, if brew is not installed, homebrew. And then after that, one single command to install Git, but it will take some time to run. Okay. There are other options too to install on Mac. For Windows, it would be a exe file that you download, and then you run, double click, and next. Make sure you install Git bash, which acts as your terminal, so that you, whatever commands I am writing on terminal here, I can write there. Okay. I will provide the document anyways for you to refer in case if you face issues. Now, for working with your code, it's best to do it with IDE like Visual Studio, PyCharm, Eclipse. And Visual Studio is very trending these days. So I have shown you how you can download your Visual Studio, and the installation steps will be easy. I'll provide in the document again, right? So that's how this would be. Now, uh, next step would be how to create a GitHub account. How to create a GitHub account, because local thing is set. I have seen Git hyphen version. Git is installed so that I can perform locally. Now I should have a remote account also where I can host my repositories, right? So what I will do is we have a website github.com. I will take this and open this. You, if you already have a GitHub account, you can sign in. If you do not have, click on sign up, right? You would see screen something like this. It might change over time. Uh, and here provide a email ID from which you have not already created a GitHub account. My email ID is sumit mittal1306 at gmail.com, and it gives me a continue button. I say continue. I can give a password. Okay, some password I have given. Continue. Enter a username. I can say big data by Sumit. This is already one of my username. Uh, I will say big data by Sumit Trendy Tech. This is the name I will give. Okay, and continue. Would you like to receive product updates and announcements? I can say okay, yes, it's okay. Right? Please solve this puzzle so we know you are a real person. Okay, let's see what puzzle it is. It's interesting, right? Submit, done. So they have verified I am a real person. Create account, and they would send me a code on my email ID. Let me quickly check the code. Done. I have put in the code. Are you a student or a teacher? I will say teacher. It's fine. How many team members will be working with you? I will say just me. Just an idea they want to take, and a lot of things. What specific features are you interested in? Tick whatever you like. I'm taking everything. Let's say security, anyways. It might be in some paid plans or something. So yeah. So continue for free. Initializing your dashboard, and that's how you will be able to create a account, right? So with this you have created a GitHub account where you can now host your repositories from your local to remote, right, which we will be seeing when we are doing the demonstrations of Git and GitHub, right? So by this time I feel so you can click here and your profile, so that you can see you do not have any repositories as of now. Overview: as I create one account, it again is like a commit, one contribution. It shows like that, right? Anyways, it's not a contribution, but we join GitHub. It's an activity. That's where it shows this green, right? So it's an empty account right now. So all set. We have locally Git installed. We have a GitHub account also. Ideally I will not be most probably using this one. I will check which account I want to use. I have three accounts, right? So we will see, but I have Git locally, GitHub GitHub, which is my remote, and I have a Visual Studio also if I want to use. So I am all set for the demonstrations of Git and GitHub. So in the next session we will start learning about Git and GitHub and how you can execute this. So with this, we are done, and I will end this session. Hope you liked it. Thanks a lot. Hello, friends. Welcome again. So this is the session 3 in our Git learning. In the previous session, we have seen how to install Git and how to create account on GitHub. Also, we have seen how to get Visual Studio on our laptop, right? So now in this session, we will try seeing like some of the Git commands which are important. Now I have a Visual Studio open, right? Visual Studio, if you can see, I have this open, and I am on my project basically. I have even opened a terminal. I have shown how to open it by clicking this and then clicking on terminal. Now apart from this, I have a notepad where I will be writing the things, and I have uh, I have the GitHub account which is open. Right, three things: one notepad where I will be typing, GitHub account which is like an online repository sorry, online portal where we will be hosting our repositories, and we have the Visual Studio where I will be doing the stuff. Okay. So how to check whether Git is installed locally or not? I can just say git hyphen hyphen version and it should show that, right? 1 minute. Okay, it's fine. I was just seeing whether recording is happening or not. Okay. Uh, Apart from this, you can just type in git and it will show a bunch of things that shows git is installed properly. So after installing git, that's the first thing that you should be looking into. Okay. Now, uh, how generally you work on a project, right? I would tell you the first scenario that you might encounter. First scenario, because if we learn with scenarios, that will give us a proper learning. You might do like you start by creating a repository in GitHub. That means what you are doing, you first create a repository in GitHub, right? And then you do the entire procedure. I will tell you what that entire things means. But the first step is when we create a repository in GitHub online portal, right? That means we create it on remote, right? Online portal, right? So what I will do is I am here on my account which I just created. Big Data by Sumit hyphen Trendytech is the name I have given. It shows joined GitHub on November 2023 because that's a new account I just created for the demo. Now, what I will do is I will create a new repository. So click on, so here if you want to basically see the options, you can just explore, but you can click on your profile so that you see this page and click on repositories. Right now, there is no repository which are there. So you can click on new repository and I can say, for example, uh, finance project. I am giving this finance project. You can give any other meaningful name, and I am saying keep it public. Keep it public, right? It can be private also, but since I am doing a demo, I am making it public. Let me say okay, add a README file. A README file will also be added. That's fine. And all of these options are fine. I can say create repository. That means when I am starting a project, I am starting it from here, right? That means I am coming to GitHub and creating a repository, empty repository with some README file. That's okay. README.md, MD stands for markdown, right? A particular kind of way where our stylings and all will be shown. That's fine. Now, that's how I am beginning the project to start with. Now, what would be my step here? I want to basically get this repository into my local. That means on my laptop, right? That means this structure or folder so that we get hooked to this one. So we created a repo. I will write it here in Notepad. Uh, you start by creating a repository in GitHub. Okay. Now I want to. So this is the step one. I'll remove this to make it concise. Then what I want to do, whatever I have created here, I want to get it to my local. So how will I get it to my laptop? I will say git clone and I will give a path. I will just show you that. So I will go to repositories here, finance project, and here if you see, it gives you this HTTPS, this link, right? Since this is a public this thing, we can download this. So git clone and the URL is this. So if we do this, we will be able to clone this on our local laptop, right? I hope this is clear, right? So I will say, let me just see what folder I am at. I am at some other folder. So let me go one step back. I will say present working directory. I am on my desktop. That's fine. Let me create a new folder here. I will say uh, mkdir uh, fin project or finance proj. Let's say I'm just doing that. Cd finance project. Right. I've created a separate folder here so that I do all the work here in this. Right. I'll clear the screen and I will show you the present working directory. This is the new folder I just created. Now I want to connect to the remote and get this downloaded. Whatever we have, a folder and inside that a readme file, I want to get it here. So I will say git clone and the path which I have copied. From what is that path? When I go to this finance project, I just clicked on code and this is the path. And it says cloning into finance project, right? So this would have cloned this project on remote to my local, from GitHub to my local. Now, how do I check that out? I will say ls, and you can see finance project is coming here. This was the folder we gave, right? Okay, so I will say cd finance project. I press the tab so that it can auto complete, and I will say ls. Readme is also there. Let me see if any content inside readme. uh, the readme basically has any content or not. Finance project, right? That's what it is also showing. I hope this is clear. So this means till this point we are good, right? Okay. So what we did till now, we created a project on GitHub and we cloned it onto our local, right? And this cloning is working because Git command is working. If Git is not installed, it will not happen. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now, if I want to see the status of this, right, I can say git status of which directory I am at. I am at finance project. Okay, this is where I want it to be. That's okay. So I can say git status and it says on branch main. I will talk about what is a branch and all, right? Your branch is up to date with origin main, right? And nothing to commit. When it says your branch is up to date with origin means from where we have cloned it. I cloned it from GitHub, right? At this place. So this would mean origin. Remote is nothing but the origin. I'll write it here. Origin by convention means the remote from where we cloned, right? I cloned from this place, so it is what it's saying origin. So what it is saying, that the origin, that means on GitHub and on your local Git, things are synced. There is no difference. This means GitHub, and it's saying on your local you have the same contents as on your GitHub, right? Origin means remote. Okay. So I hope this would make sense. Now let me make some changes to README. So I will open README. Okay, it says finance project. I will i will say this project is quite interesting. I know this is not meaningful, but just for demonstration, consider this is okay. Right? I added one new line in readme.md. Now, if I say git status. So if you see, we have modified a new file, readme.md. Right? It shows that okay, there is something that is being modified. That's the beauty of your Git, that it will tell you which file you have modified. I hope this is clear. It says you have modified one file. Let me add a new file also. I will say vi, let's say transformations.py. Let's say I will say transformation 1. Right? Some transformation I am doing, let's say. Right? I created a new file called as transformations.py. Right? And also I changed readme.md. So two things I have done. I created a new file transformations.py, modified readme.md. Do not see the case. I know it's uppercase. I have put it in lower, but you got a gist of it. Okay. Now let me clear the screen and say git status to know. So git status is a command which will tell you what has changed and what are the things. I will write the command here. Git status. Now when I do git status, it says I have modified one file and there is one new file which is added, which is untracked by Git. Untracked in the sense, if I make any changes to this, Git will not be able to identify. It will not show in the modified section because it is right now a new file not tracked by Git, untracked. Right? So if you see here, if I add a new file, then it shows as untracked. Right? Untracked. If I modify an existing file, then it shows modified. I hope this should be pretty much clear to you. Okay. So I have talked about what is untracked whenever we add a new file. What is modified when we actually modify a file. Okay. So you see this. So now what if I want to like fix these changes or I want to commit these changes? So basically whenever we make changes, right? Whenever we make changes, it is kind of thing that by default these are not staged. Unstaged it is. Unstaged. Right? These are in this thing. Right? These are basically unstaged. Next step would be we have to stage these changes like an intermediate stage, I would say. Stage these changes. And then finally we can commit. Right? So it goes through three stages. If I modify, then basically all of these changes are unstaged. Right now it's not like ready to be committed. So we have to make it ready to be committed, then we have to stage it. Right? It's an intermediate state so that it can be committed later. Right? And once these are staged, it can be committed. Right? So the step one is uh, make changes, make changes or add new files. Right? Make changes to existing files or add new files. After this, what we will do? we will stage these changes because by default it is unstaged. By default, unstaged. So we have to stage it. We have to stage the changes, right? And then third is why, second is we have to stage the changes. Why we have to stage? So that they are ready to be committed. To be committed. Committed means making them permanent or fixing it or adding it to our versioning, right? Whatever you say. And then we can commit all the staged changes. Whatever we have staged in the second phase, we can now commit. These are ready to be committed and we can use commit command to commit those. I hope this is clear. Okay. So now what to do? How by default we are at this stage where we have some existing changes, but changes not staged for commit, right? These are changes which are not staged for commit. So first step would be to stage them, right? How to do that? We can say git add. We can provide the file names if we want to take a particular thing, or if we want to do take all things in our current working directory, then we can say dot. Since I have two files, which is readme.md and transformations.py, I am not going to do it individually. Rather, I will say git add dot so that I can stage both of these files. I'll write what I have put in git add dot. Dot means any files in my current working directory which are unstaged, right? Please stage them. Now I can now check the status. Git status. And now it says, okay, these two showing in green color, which are ready to be committed, changes to be committed. It's not committed yet, but these are staged. These are staged so that we can commit it. I hope this is clear. So we say git status, which I have shown, right? And now, how to commit these changes? I can say git commit git commit hyphen m. We have to give a message, meaningful message, making changes to readme and adding a new transformations file. I can give this comment or message. Git commit hyphen m this. Let me copy this also so that I can put on my notepad. And you can see two files change, 5 insertions, 1 deletion, whatever it is. I hope this is clear, right? So I will put this here. This is what I have done. So what I did, I modified one file, right? So I'll tell you. First thing that I did is, why I'm repeating is because if you are new to it, you will be confused. That's why I'm repeating with the intent that it should fit in your mind. So first thing I did is I modified readme file and created a new transformations file, right? Then second is I wanted to commit these changes but cannot do it directly because commit is a two-step process. First you stage these changes and then from staging area you can commit this. So how to stage, we have to say git add and then the file names which we want to stage. If we want to stage all the files in our current working directory, then git add dot. Otherwise, you can mention the file name here. And then the third thing is git commit to commit all the staged changes. And hyphen m, give a meaningful message. Meaningful message. This is how it is. So commit is a two-step process. We cannot do it directly. Two step: first we stage it, and from staging we can commit it. It's like kind of giving you that extra cushion that you do not do something wrong. Think it this way, right? How to stage it? By using git add command. How to commit it? Using git commit. Directly commit won't work, right? Okay, let me clear the screen. And now let me say git status. Git status. It says nothing to commit, working tree clean. That's good. That means no pending changes. But it also says your branch is ahead of origin main. Origin always think like your GitHub, right? On GitHub, whatever is main branch, our local branch on my laptop is one commit ahead of that remote branch. I'll write it here. It says our local branch or our local, let me not tell you branch because branch I have not taught you right now. I'll teach. So our local is ahead of remote. Local means on laptop. That is laptop, whatever Git you have is ahead of remote. Remote means GitHub by one commit. And that's true also because on local we make changes which are still not there on GitHub. These changes are in our local, committed on local. Does not mean when we say commit it's going to GitHub remote repository. No, still if I go to my GitHub I will not see those. If I refresh this, I still do not see transformations.py. In README, I still see finance project, nothing else. That means it is still not having the latest thing which is there on my local, right? So, how to put these things from my local to GitHub? How do you put that? I will run git push origin main. What does this mean? I will explain you this command first before executing. Git, of course, you know keyword since we are running git commands. Push. Earlier we have cloned it, right? Cloning means cloning from remote to local. Push means now local code we want to push to the remote. So git push origin. By convention, origin means a repository from where you have cloned. What is that? Of course, this GitHub repository. You cloned from here, right? So that's the one. So origin means that one, a shortcut to that, right? A shortcut to the entire URL we had earlier. The entire URL was this one, right? A shortcut to this is origin because we have cloned from here. So we can refer it with the name origin. And in this, ideally there are multiple branches, but since we are dealing with main branch, we are saying put it to the main branch, right? Do not worry about branch mainly, but git push origin main. And this will take the code from my local and put it there. I hope this is clear. And this finance project, whatever I have created, let me even show you. Let me just show you that. Uh, so basically, if you see, we can open this, right? Uh, and open desktop, whatever new project we have, right? Finance project. That's the one. We can open it here so that you can see all of it. Readme transformations.py, right? So you can check that out. Again, to open a terminal, we did this, right? And I can clear it. So that's the thing. And now if I see pwd, I am in finance project, FICLS, right? It is finance project. So if I see git status, it says, oh, not a git repository. That means it is not tracked by git, because the folder which is inside finance project, right? The the folder which is inside, that is tracked by git actually. So anything that is tracked by git would have a .git folder. For example, if I say ls-a all, you will not see a .git folder for this, like a wrapper folder finance project. So this particular project is not tracked by git. But if I go one step inside and I say ls-a, you see a git folder, .git folder. That means it is being tracked by git. And if I say git status, of course, it says nothing to commit, but we are ahead of origin main. That's where we were seeing earlier, right? So anything that is being tracked by Git will have a .git folder inside, right? I'll talk little more about it, but this there it will maintain the history and all the metadata it has to maintain regarding versioning. It will be maintaining inside this folder, which we do not have to worry about too much. But I will talk little bit about it later, whatever required. So we are now ahead of our remote, and we want to push these changes from local to remote, because in our local I have added this new line. I have also added transformations.py. These two things I have done. But on my remote, I do not see it. I do not see it at all. So what to do? I will say git push origin main. That's what I was showing you. And when you are doing it for the very first time, right? When you are doing it for the very first time with a new GitHub account, it will ask you for the credentials basically, right? It will ask you for that. So it will say the extension GitHub wants to sign in using GitHub, allow, right? And it will give you this option. You say continue, right? And you say authorize. So when we are doing it for the very first time, it will ask for authentication like this. Next time it won't. Now let's go ahead and see. I click on my profile, and then I will go to repositories, finance project, right? And here you can see we have readme.md, and let's see what it contains. It contains this project is quite interesting, which was there on my local, right? Also it contains transformations.py, right? Transformation one. So this code has come from my local to the remote now. And what command I used git push origin main. Git push is a command. That means we want to push the code from local to the remote, and we want to origin means the repository, the GitHub account from which we have cloned, that way, right? And main branch. I will talk about branches anyways. So I hope I have written it here. And first time it will ask you for the authentication. You can authenticate it this way. I hope we are good here. Okay. And any thing related to authentication, I would put in my document also, in case if you face issues by any chance. So this is just one time thing. And now let me clear the screen and say git status. It says on branch main, your branch is up to date with origin main, nothing to commit, working tree clean. So we basically, what we did in this entire flow that we have learned in this session, what have we done? We basically, the first thing that we did is we created a, a we created a repository on GitHub, right? Then second thing that we did is we cloned that repository on our local. Third thing that we did is we made a few changes and added new files, whatever changes we want to do. So if you are someone who, let's say, want to work on a project, right, you would basically clone that project on your local, make changes in your local, and then after that what you would do, you will uh, stage those changes by saying git add. You will perform git add dot and then git commit. So basically you will commit the changes, but commit is a two-step process. Two-step process, right? First git add dot to stage the changes, and git commit to commit it, right? But these are committed to local, that is git, right? On your laptop it's done, but it's not there on your remote, or it's not there on GitHub. So then what you will do is you will push these changes to GitHub using the command git push origin main, right? And then you will see this is all perfect. I hope this is clear. So that's what we have learned in this session. We have seen the entire flow, but in this case, the project starting is happening from GitHub, right? From GitHub. In my next session, I will show you what if or what you have to do so that your project starts on your local rather than GitHub, right? Here, the first point was creating a project on GitHub. Now, I will tell you in the next session that how you start a project from your local and do all of these steps. So, with this, I hope that you liked the session, you learned something new out of it, and in the next session, let's continue our learning and it will be even more interesting. Thank you all. Hello, friends, welcome again. So, this is the session 4 in our Git videos that we are learning. In the previous session, we have talked about a scenario that you wanted to create a new project, but you start the creation from GitHub, right? Then you first created it on GitHub, then you brought it to your local by cloning it, you make changes, you committed it, and then you pushed it back to GitHub. That's what we did. Now, let's see scenario 2. Scenario 2. Here, let's say you want to start the project development on your local rather than GitHub, right? You want to start the development on local. That means the first step should be creating a project on local. So let's see in this case how the entire activities would look like. Okay, so you remember I have created this lending club project 01, and we have logger.py, main.py, lib, and conf. We did it in the session 2, right? That's where we created it locally. I will say open, and here I will go to desktop, and I will say lending club project 1. Let me get it in my Visual Studio. Okay, I have this lending club project open, and here I have a terminal open. I will clear the screen. Okay, perfect. Now, this is on our local and it's not there on GitHub. Like I will show you the GitHub. Is it there? No, it has only one repository, which is finance, right? And finance has what? Finance project has readme and transformations.py. So this is different. We do not have this particular folder or repository on GitHub, right? So that's a different scenario, right? Okay. So I'm inside this lending club project 01, let me say PWD, to see the present working directory, right? To see the present working directory. Okay. Now, let's say I want to say git status. It says not a git repository. This is a clear indication that git is not managing it right now. See, when a repository is there on remote and we bring it to local, then git knows to manage it because git understand that. But in this case, when I have created something locally, then until we initialize it, it will not know that git has to manage this. And that's where the very first command you would run to make sure that git manages this particular repository is git init. That means initialize git. Git should manage it going forward, right? But before running this, I will say ls-a stands for all. You will not see something called as .git folder. You will not see .git folder because git is not managing it. If git would be managing, you would see .git folder here, right? And do not worry about .ds store. This is something related to Mac, not necessary for you to understand. rm-rf .ds underscore store. Okay. Okay. So these are the folders, but git folder is not there. How to get one? We have to initialize git here. Git init, saying git, please manage this project, right? And we have initialized this. I hope this is clear. And it says using master as the name for initial branch, this default branch is subject to change. I will tell you what it says, right? Do not worry, I'll explain this. Okay, let me clear the screen. And if I say git status, then of course it says no commits yet. Untracked files are these. That means whatever we have in this, like it's untracked right now. But Git is managing it. That's a good thing, right? So if I say ls-a, you will see a .git folder and it maintains all the versioning metadata and all inside this particular folder. We should not be knowing what is there in the inside this folder. If you're curious, you can explore it more, right? You can go one level into it. You can say cd.git ls and you see this. A lot of things which it internally manages, we should not be aware of. I hope this is clear. I will go one directory back. I'll go one directory back. Now this is a directory which Git is managing now. Okay. Now what I will do, when I say Git status, I see a lot of untracked files because all these are new files, right? So these are there. I will say git add dot, because how to stage these changes so that they can be committed. You remember, committing a change is a two-step process. First, you have to stage it. It should be in staging area. How to bring it to staging area? Git add dot, right? Dot is take all the files in my current working directory and put it. Now, if I say git status, and you see this, that all of this have been staged and this can be committed now by performing a commit command, right? So let me clear the screen. And how to commit? Git commit -m adding initial set of files. All of these are committed, but are these present on the remote? Are these present on GitHub? No. It has no relation with GitHub now. It's on my local, right? Local Git. I'll clear the screen and say Git status. And you see this on branch master, nothing to commit, working tree clean. I hope you can understand this properly. Right? Okay. Now, if I have to put this content or repository on my remote, how should I do that? How should I add all whatever I have on my local, this particular folder structure and all, on the remote, that means on GitHub, so that others can also contribute to this project? How do I do that? Now, just think of it. Can I say here git push origin main? Last time we did this. Last time we did this git push origin main. Now, that time we know that origin means from where we have cloned, right? That is the remote we are talking about. But in this case, what is origin? Who knows what is origin? Because we have not cloned this project on local from anywhere. It's not a cloned project, rather, we started creating the project on local. So there is no remote, this origin is not set right now. I mean, the origin is not set right now, right? So when we clone a remote project, then origin is referring to that, right? But when we start developing on local, right, it's not that we have cloned, we directly start developing on local, then we need to set the origin ourselves. We have to set, so let's set the origin. To set the origin, the command would be git add, so git remote add. Remote means the GitHub part, right? So we want to add a URL now. Git remote add and origin, and we will give the URL here. We will give the URL here. So what I will do not worry, I'll explain this again. What I want to do now is, let me go to my GitHub, go to repositories, create a new repository saying, let's say, uh, landing club project. I am giving this as a repository name, landing club project. Okay. And I will say public. This is fine. I will not add a readme. It's okay. Everything looks fine to me. I am just creating a empty repository here. Empty repository, landing club project. And this is the HTTPS link, right? I just copied it and I will put here, right? So git remote add origin this URL. I will explain you now. So it's like we are saying, instead of this big URL, we want to call it as origin. Like it's like key and this is value. Think like a key value pair, right? Origin is the key and this is the value referring to it. So when we say origin, it means this particular link, right? So we are saying now, instead of this talking about this big link, I will say origin, please refer to this particular URL. And this is what we are adding, right? So git remote add origin this. Let me run this. Done, right? That means our origin is set now. How to check where origin points? Git remote -v, right? I will just put this command also just to refer to it. Git remote -v -v. So it says origin points to this particular URL. I hope this is clear. This is just to verify whether my origin is now pointing to the right URL or not. Okay. Now, now let's see. Right now, I have not taught you about branches, but if we say git branch, it will tell you on which branch we are. I'll explain about branches separately, but right now just understand that git branch tell us on which branch we are, and there can be multiple branches in git, right? Now it says we are currently, there is just one branch and we are on that branch. Star points to that on which we are right now, right? So we are on master branch right now. Just to let you know, earlier there were conventions where master was one of the branch, and even your GitHub used to have master, right? So if I go to the earlier this thing, let's say finance project, you see here instead of master nowadays we have main branch here, main, right? Earlier it used to be master, and you see here it's showing as master. Now if you try to push it, it will not happen, so you need to rename this actually to main, right? Master is not a good word, that way it looks like bossy and all, right? So that's where, to make the convention correct, now it's main, but on your local, when you are starting a new project, you will find it as master, so you need to rename this to main, because otherwise you will not be able to push it. For example, if I say git push origin main, right, it will not be able to, because it will not match, it's master branch and there is main, we want to push it to main, so better you change this to main, right? So we should rename this master branch to main branch. Let's change the name so that everything is fine. How to change? There is a command git branch hyphen m. M means modify, and the name to main. So on whatever branch we are, I'll just run this command and show you. Git branch says on which branch we are. So whatever branch we are, if we want to modify that to some other branch, say git branch, modify it to main. So whatever existing branch on which we are right now, modify it to main. And this will rename this branch. And if I say git branch, it will show you that we are right now on main branch. I hope this is clear. Now, whatever command we had, git push origin main, that means origin means that URL which we have already set. We set this URL, right? And we are referring it with origin now. That means if I am saying origin, it will push it to that URL, right? Main branch of that. So let me push whatever I have to this, right? Uh, and you can see this. So we can see it's pushed to main branch. So let me open this, and there are two repositories. Lending Club project is the one where I pushed just now, and you can see the entire folder structure or repository structure here. We have main, right? We have logger, we have lib folder with transformations.py, utils, all of it. I hope this is clear. Just have a look at it. It's quite straightforward that what we have done. So what I did is I created a folder structure on my local, right? I initialized Git, right? Using Git init. That means Git should track the changes, right? I added all the changes so that the changes are in staging area. I committed the changes so that the changes are fixed on my local, but these changes are not yet there on GitHub. So I basically created an empty repository in GitHub, right? And then I added the origin URL here. How I added? Using this. So that my origin refers to this, because in this case I'm not cloning anything. So origin is not set. How to see where origin points to? Git remote hyphen v. It will show where origin points to, right? And then finally, we faced another issue where the name of branch was master. Ideally, it's not a right naming convention, so we renamed it to main and then pushed it to the main branch of the newly empty repository that we created. I hope this is clear. Just have a look of what we have done here, right? And this command git push origin main I will put in the document, right? Okay. Now, if we always keep on saying git push origin main, git push origin main, there is a easy way to do that. So we can say git push hyphen u. That means set upstream, right? Origin main. If we do that, right? If we do that, then going forward, we do not have to, once we have set this upstream, right? We can just say git push. It will automatically assume it is git push origin main. If I say git push, in your case you will not get this, so I will say always allow. Okay, in your case you will not get this, so do not worry that uh, checkbox I am getting, right? Something you will not get, it's related to my local. So if I say git push, it will assume that it is git push origin main because we have already set the upstream here, right? So it's like a shortcut. I'll just put it here. So if you always push it origin main to this whatever branch, right, you can set this upstream so that going forward you can say just say git push. Straightforward thing, right? So two scenarios we have seen. The previous session we have seen one scenario, and second in this session we have seen another scenario. Let me reiterate very quickly. Scenario one that we have seen is like a workflow when starting from GitHub, that is remote, right? That means first we create a GitHub repo, right? And then we clone it to our local using the clone command. Then we make changes, whatever changes it is, adding files, removing files, changing the content, and then we put it to staging area by saying add command. We commit those changes to local, but these changes are still not there in remote. So for that we push it to remote. Now scenario 2 is where workflow when starting with git locally, right? So this is what we have seen in this session. So we create a GitHub, no, not GitHub repo. We create a local project structure, or we create a project structure locally. Then we uh, we track the changes using git init, saying initialize git so that git can track the changes. And then what we did, we set the URL, right, so that we can refer origin. So git remote add origin and URL, remote URL, right? And then we push the changes, push, right? So this is how both the workflows work. So you should know, right, how to whatever convenient to you, you can go with that style. But if you see ideally, this one is little bit more easier, scenario one. But it's up to you. Scenario two is also quite easy. But in scenario 2, additionally, what we did, since we created a new project, the first branch that was created was master. We renamed it to main, right? We renamed it to main because of a good naming convention. And now, because in GitHub also it's not called as master, it is called as main. Earlier it was called as master, but master is not a right word to use generally. Okay, so these are the scenarios which we have seen. In our next session, I will show you more about branches, right? And with this, I think we have covered good amount of stuff. And these two scenarios are super important, because when you are creating a new project, you would most likely adopt one of these ways. And next session would be super important as well, and interesting too, because branches is like, we deal with it, we generally do not work directly with the main branch, and I will tell you the reasons for that. So with this, let me end the session, and I hope you liked it. Thanks a lot. Hello friends, welcome again. So this is session 5 in our Git learning that we are doing. And in the previous session, we have talked about, basically, we have learned two scenarios. Either you create your project on GitHub first, or you create your project locally first. What should be the workflow in both of these cases? And these two are super important when you are developing a project right from scratch. I will talk about a third scenario. What if you want to make modifications in an existing project? What should be the workflow? Right? But in this session, I am totally thinking to talk about the branches in Git. Branches in Git, right? Till now, you have seen that, okay, there is something called as a main branch, right? And if it is like showing as master in your this thing local, you would rename it to main for a better naming convention, right? So main branch is what you have seen till now. Now, how do you check on which branch you are? You will say Git branch. Git branch will actually show all the branches and will show you on which branch you are. Git branch. Right now we have just one branch and it is main. Right? So this is how we can check what all branches we have and on which branch we are. How to check which branch? Star will be in front of that. We have also seen a command using which you know how to change a branch name. Git branch, git branch hyphen m stands for modify, and we can rename it. Earlier we have renamed master to main. I will not execute again, but you kind of know it because I have done it earlier. So this is to check which branch, and to rename a branch. To rename a branch name. Okay, fine. And this you were aware, both of these commands we have performed earlier. Now, how do you create a new branch? How do you create a new branch? So generally I will say, it's not that you as a developer will directly work on a main branch. No. For your personal project, you can do whatever. But ideally, if you're contributing to any project in your company or even open source or whatever, you would create your own branch. Let's say you might be working on some feature, let's say feature 1. You would create a branch called as, let's say, git branch, and name of the new branch feature 1. This will create a new branch called as feature 1, and it will have the same code as it was there on the branch we are at right now. So we are right now at main. Our head points to main. So whatever code head has, right, or whatever code main has, the same code will be there in feature 1. So git branch, and any branch name we can give, feature 1. This will create a new branch called as feature 1, and whatever code there is there in the main, same code will be there in this feature 1, right? So to create a new branch, and you give any branch name here. Now let me say git git branch to see on which branch I am right now. I have two branches, main and feature one, right? But right now I am at main, but I created feature one newly, right? We know that. But right now head points to the main, right? So even though we have created feature one, but we are right now not at feature one. If we do make any changes, it will happen in the main, not feature one. So we should go to feature one. How to move to feature one so that head points to that? We can say git checkout feature one, so that it's like we switching the branches, and it says switch to branch feature one, which will have same code as main because we run the command from main branch. Now how do I see which branch I am at right now? There are two branches, main and feature one, but we are currently at feature one. This is what we wanted, and we can make any changes because different people cannot work on same branch. They should create their own branches, and we should not touch the main branch as such. You'll understand that shortly also, right? So we created a new branch using git branch name and git checkout in order to switch the branch, right? To switch to feature one branch. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now, if let's say I create another branch, git branch feature 3, can you tell me what code it will have? It will have code of whatever main has or feature 1. Sorry, I will say git branch feature 2. So where the head is right now, head is on feature 1. So it will contain the code what feature 1 will have. In our case, both main and feature 1 has the same code, but if it is different, then it will take, or we are right now running this from feature 1. We are right now at feature 1. So it will be taking feature 1 as the base, right? So creating branch and switching is a two-step process we have seen, right? First you create a branch and then move to that branch. So can this be done in one step? Can this be done in one step? This can be done even in one step. You can run git, for example, feature 2 is not available right now, right? I want to create feature 2. So you can say git checkout feature 2. Right now feature 2 is not there. So that's where you can say -b flag, right? So it will do two things. It will create, first it will create feature 2 branch, and then it will check out to that branch, right? You can see this. Switch to a new branch feature 2, right? So single step it will do. So I will say to create and navigate to the branch, to a new branch. If you want, you can write these two commands, or if you want, you can write this single command also. I hope this is clear. Also, one more thing. Let's say I will see on which branch I am right now. Git branch. I am right now on feature 2. Let's say I want to create a feature 3 branch. Can you tell me from which branch it will take the code and put to feature 3? What is the base? It is right now feature 2. If we want it to take the code from main, then we can idly say git checkout main, right? And git status, sorry, git branch. We are right now on main. And if I say git checkout -b feature 3, it will take the code from main. Right? Feature 3 will have the same code as main will have as the base to start with, I mean. But let's say I am on main and I want this feature 3 to be created, but it should have the code from feature 2. The base should be feature 2. That means feature 3 should have all the code what feature 2 have. Then one way is to move to feature 2 and run this command. Otherwise, we can here mention feature 2 also. I hope this is clear. So I'll write it git checkout hyphen b feature 2, right? And let's say if I say feature 1, that's what I ran. Feature 3, feature 2. Okay. So it will just do, it will base take the base as feature 2, right? That means whatever code is there in feature 2, it will put it to feature 3 to start with, rather than thinking about on which branch I am and basing it based on that. It will, we are explicitly saying please do it based on feature 2 branch. I hope this is clear. Anyways, that's fine. Now let me see what all branches I have. I have four branches: main, feature 1, feature 2, and feature 3. And you can switch the branch by saying git checkout and branch name. Let me go to feature 1. Git checkout feature 1, right? And I will say git branch. I hope this is clear. Okay, fine. Now, if I want to delete one particular branch, so one thing to note, the command to delete is git branch hyphen d, stands for delete, and branch name. Let's say I am at feature 1. Let's say I am, let me check out to feature 3. Feature 3, right? Let's say I am on feature 3 right now. I want to, let's say, delete feature 3, right? So hyphen D is for delete. But thing is that if you are on the branch where which you want to delete, it will not accept. You should be on some other branch when deleting a branch. I am right now on feature 3 branch and I am saying delete this. It will not work. Cannot delete branch feature 3. Checked out at this, right? So basically, if you want to delete feature 3, you should be on some other branch. So let me go to feature 1. Git checkout feature 1, right? I am at feature 1. Now I can delete feature 3. Git branch hyphen d feature 3, deleted branch feature 3, right? You can see this. And when I say git branch, I will see feature 1, feature 2 and main, because feature 3 has been deleted. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now feature 1, let's say I am making some change. I will clear the screen. I am making some change in feature 1. Right now I'm at feature 1, so whatever code I see is based on feature 1. In main, I'm saying this is the main file. uh, I calling function 1, right? I'm saying calling function 1 and I'm saving it, right? This I have done in feature 1 branch, right? Or I'm saying, let's say, adding a new feature 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 1. Let's say I have added a new feature. If I say git status, it says modified something. It says you modified main.py. It's okay. What I will do, I will do git add dot, I will say git status. Now the changes have been staged because commit is a two-step process. So first we added it to stage it, and now we can commit. Git commit hyphen m and adding feature 1, right? We have done this. Let me clear the screen. And if I say git status, you see on branch feature 1, nothing to commit, working tree clean. Now, if I go back to my main branch, how to go back? Git checkout main. And you see whatever we did in feature 1 has gone because this is a different code and feature 1 has different code, right? If I again go back to feature 1, I can see that code, right? So I hope you can understand this. So I am on feature 1 and I have added a new line in main.py. Okay. Now I can push it, right? I can push it. So where exactly my origin is pointing? It's pointing to the correct thing, right? It's fine. So what I can do to push? Git push origin, and instead of saying main, I will say feature 1. Feature 1. Because to feature 1 branch, I want to push this. A new branch will be created. You will not get this most likely, right? So you can see this feature 1 branch. Now let me go to GitHub. Let me go to GitHub, and here let me see this. Uh, feature 1 has recently pushed, and you see there are two branches, main and feature 1, right? Main and feature 1 branches are there. So you can see this, and main.py will have additional line which was not there in main. So if I show you there in main branch, you will not have this, right? You will not have this particular thing. Now it automatically says, okay, feature 1 has recent pushes 1 minute ago, right? So it says compare and pull request. But one more thing I will do, it has, so if you see here, Lending Club project, right? Two branches are there, and we have pull request, which it is asking to do. So what we can do now is, I mean, pull request anyways, I will explain you shortly. So generally, if we want our, let's say we want to work on a project, then we will take it to our local, create our own branch, and then we will try to push it to this, right? Just like we have pushed like this, and we will create a pull request. We will create a pull request. I will just show you that. I will talk little more about pull request later, but it automatically suggests compare and pull request, because it's not that every code can be merged to the main branch easily, right? Main should be verified content. So there would be bunch of approvers who would see that, okay, can you really move it to the main branch? So you can see that from feature 1 to main, right? I want to create a pull request. That means whatever I have in feature 1, what's the difference? First of all, you can see that I am changing one particular file. I am adding these two lines. That's the only change I am doing, right? It's showing me this, whether you want to raise a pull request so that someone can approve and this code can be merged in the main branch, right? So let's say it is adding feature 1, and I create pull request, right? You can see this. So pull request has been created. In our case, there are no approvers, but generally there would be approvers who would be approving it. And as soon as they merge pull request, your code will in the main will be same as your feature 1 branch, right? So the request will go to someone to merge it, and they can basically see that. So they can see that there is one commit, right? This is the commit. So whoever reviews your pull request would either approve your pull request, right? Or what they will do, they will give you comments that okay, no, you do this, you do this, you do this, and then I can do. So I can even add a comment that have you like, can you please remove something, some code, whatever, right? So the people who approve, senior people in your team or whoever it is, right, would give you comments based on whatever pull request they see. You will work on it again, you will modify the pull request, and finally these people will merge it. Finally it will be merged, right? So you raise pull request because you cannot directly put it your content to the main branch of the project in GitHub, right? Because it's a big thing. So this is what is done. And now if I go back, go back to this lending club project, and if I see my main branch, it will also have the updated code. It will have the updated code, right? So what I have shown you, that you created a new branch, you worked or made all the changes in your branch, and then you pushed it in that branch to GitHub, right? This is that. Now we have that feature one branch, right? You pushed it, and then you create a pull request based on whatever differences are there between the main branch and your branch, and some approvers will approve so that your changes can be merged in the main branch. Because main branch, it's not that anyone can go ahead and merge their changes. No, it has to go with certain set of rules and regulations, and there would be certain set of approvers, sometimes more than one approver, right? So that's how it goes. So that's about branches, and there is one good website, learn gitbranching.js.org. Right? I will show you. This is good to understand the branching thing. What does it show? Right? You select these options, whatever it is, right? I'm not even reading this. Okay. So we are here. Now, um, let's say it shows that okay, commit 0, commit 1, and the main points here. I'm at the main branch right now because star is here, right? So this is good for learning. So what I can do is I can do, okay, I can do one more commit. Sorry, 1 minute. Let me just see what has to be. Okay, sorry, huh? Git commit, right? You can see I was at commit 1 and I am in main branch. So my main branch has this code right now. If I create a new branch, let's say git branch feature 1, a new branch is created, but my head points to the main because I have not checked out. So git checkout feature 1. Now my head points to feature 1. So whatever changes I will do will be in feature 1 now. So I will say git commit, right? So you can see main branch is left behind. Now feature 1 has a newer code, one more commit, extra commit. I will say git commit, right? Like this. Now let me go back to the main branch, git checkout main. I'm at main. Now I can do git commit. So you see a new branch is created that way, right? You can see this. Now ideally from C2 we commit to, we had a different branch and a main branch which is having different code, like that. Again we can have one more commit, sorry, git commit, right? And now you can see we are on main and we have feature one. If we want to merge this code, git merge, git, I can say git merge feature one. That in main merge feature one code, right? Merge this code, so that merging means like merge these two into one so that the code becomes similar. I'll talk more about it, but this is, think about branching, that each developer will work, create their own branch, will push that to github and will create a pull request will go to certain set of approvers. They will verify it, ask for making additional changes, or they will approve that and merge their code to main branch. So that's how generally it works. So with this, we have understood about the branches in Git. Let me quickly reiterate. Git branch is to see all the branches and on which branch we are. To modify a branch, we say git branch hyphen m. M stands for modify. And to create a new branch, git branch name, whatever branch name you give. To switch your branch, git checkout branch name. To do create I mean do two things at a time, create a branch and check out to that, git checkout hyphen b and branch name. And again, if you want to base it from some other branch, you just mention that branch name. To delete a branch, hyphen d we use, but we should not be on the branch, we should not be sitting on the branch that we want to delete. And then I have shown a process where someone as a developer would take the code, they uh, take the code from the main branch, create their own branch, and do modifications, push their changes to the uh, GitHub, and then they create a pull request. Certain set of approvers approve it, uh, review it, and approve. Right, and that's how the code get merged in the main branch of this thing. Main branch is not which everyone will see, right? So that's how it is. I even talked about one side so that you understand more about branches and how it works. So with this, we are done with this session. I hope you liked it. And in the next session, again, we will continue our learning and I will talk little more about merging, pull requests, and what if you have to work on some existing project, what should be that workflow? Even I will talk about that. So with this, let me end the session. Thanks a lot. Hello friends, welcome again. This is session 6 in our GitHub learning. In the previous session, we have seen all about branches, right? So I'll quickly recap. We learned branching. We learned branching in Git, right? Then I mentioned that it's not that you would be working on main branch, rather you would create your own branch. For example, someone working on feature 1 might create a feature 1 branch. Someone working on feature 2 might create a feature 2 branch. Names can be different. Now they would base it like feature one, what code it will have. It, I mean, whenever we are creating this branch, whatever branch we are at that time, it would have that code, right? So ideally one should take it from main branch, right? Most probably, or most likely. So that's how we do. Then after doing their changes, people would push, say git push origin. uh, let's say if I am working on feature 1, I would push my changes to feature 1 on GitHub, right? So a new branch will be created called feature 1 on GitHub, which would reflect my changes, and it will ask me that if you want to merge your changes to main branch of GitHub, then create a pull request, right? Create a pull request. So that's what I saw. It automatically gave the option to create a pull request. It also showed me wherever differences are there between main branch and my feature branch. And I checked that and created a pull request. Now this pull request would go to certain set of approvers, people who are managing this project or senior persons in that project, who would either give suggestions that okay, in code make this changes, or they will approve this request so that it will be merged and Once this pull request is approved and code is merged, right? Then we will see both main and feature one having the same code, right? So that's what it is. Merging means making the code same code will be there. Okay, so that's how we have done it. Now, one thing that we have seen, we are right now on main branch. If I say git checkout feature one, the code, this line we added, this is still there in feature one on local, but not there in main. Git checkout main, it will not be there, but it's there on main of GitHub. So don't you feel we should even bring this main branch in sync with GitHub? So what we can do is we can say say git pull, right? We want to pull it from where? Origin is like that URL, right, which we have set, and from main branch, just to make sure we are in sync with the main branch of the GitHub. So now our local main branch is equivalent to the main branch of GitHub. And you see this additional thing. It also says that one file change, two insertions. Why two? Because one extra line and one this line. I hope this is clear. So now our local is in sync with the GitHub. I hope this is clear. Okay. Now let's understand that when you are writing code, when you are making changes and you feel you did something wrong in the code base and you want to go back to the previous commit, right, or to the previous code base, then how to achieve, right? For example, till yesterday you were working, everything was very good. Today you made some changes and things are screwed up. You want to think that, okay, can I go back to the version which was there yesterday so that I can again start from there? Then how to go about it? So I'll talk about this now. So what we can do is, let me go to my feature one branch, git checkout feature one. Okay, now here let me make some changes. I will open, let's say, uh, let me open the configuration, right? I will make this confess 10 and lending club, I will say project uh, spark.executor.memory equal to, let's say, 4G, something like this I am giving. Okay, so the IDE is intelligent. It says the file is modified. In project.conf, let me say retail-db. I'm modifying this also, right? So if I say git status, it will show that there are two files which have been modified, the two configuration files, right? Okay. Now, if right now I am at that situation where I have not even staged the changes. So I did some changes and I want to go back to the previous code base, right? Is there a way? It says use Git Restore file name to discard changes in working directory. So if, let's say, there are three scenarios, I would say. First scenario, you made changes which are not even staged. I mean, it's just that you made 10 changes, it's not, you have not added it also, right? Second scenario, you made changes and have staged those changes. Third scenario, you made changes and have committed those changes. Both the steps you have done, right? So now I'm talking about scenario one, that you made some change, right? You made some change, but those are not even staged. These are here, right? Changes not staged for commit, right? These are the ones. If I want to go back to my previous code base, I feel, oh, I have done something wrong and I have done too many such things. How do I go back? I can say git restore, right? It says git restore and say talk about the file name, right? So for example, I will say git restore this and git restore, right? So now if you see, I am back again to whatever code base I had earlier, right? That's so intelligent. So you can say git restore and file name, so that you restore that to the previous thing what it was before you made the changes. I hope this is clear. Right now I am again making those changes here. Okay, now I say git status. Now again I have made those changes. I initially, just to showcase you how to get rid of those changes, I have done this. Now I want to show you scenario 2, that I made some changes and I will first and I will stage these changes. How to do? Git add dot. It will, I mean, stage all whatever we have, and I will say git status. You can see these are the changes to be committed, ready to be committed. That means these are staged. What if I want to get rid of these changes? Right? What if I want to get rid of these changes? What can be done? Think of it. Think of it. Right? So, what we can do is, it says use restore hyphen hyphen stage file name to unstage. So, let me follow what it is saying. Git restore hyphen hyphen staged file name, right? Now if I do clear screen and see git status, you see that one of the change I have brought it to the previous level. That means I have unstaged the changes. I initially staged it, I unstaged it, and then I can go back by using this command. That means if I want to get rid of it, I can say git restore and file name. A two-step process, you see, right? And if I say git status, this is there. So you understood, it's a two-step process that we have to do in order to basically get rid of these changes which are staged. First you unstage them and then you basically restore those files. Okay. Now this particular change which is staged, let me commit this. So you understand that second scenario is a two-step process. First you do what? Uh, First you unstage that. So for example, it says git restore hyphen hyphen stage file name hyphen hyphen staged file name, so that you unstage that, and then once it is unstaged you restore that like this, right? Now third scenario, let's say we commit these changes. This is there, let me commit this. Git commit hyphen m, making changes, making changes in Spark Conf, right? I have done this. Let me clear the screen and say git status. Fine. Feature 1, we have committed this change. Now, a change which is already committed, can I go back to the previous one? Can I go back? So if you want to see list of commits that have been done, there is something called as git log, right? It will show you all the commits. So I will just write git log shows all the commits or commit history, shows the commit history, and the most recent commit will be at the top. The most recent commit will be at the top. So you see, this is the most recent. After that, this, right, like that. So if I want to get rid of this making changes in SparkCom, that's the thing. Before this, I want. That means I want to reach to this level, right? This one I want. So I do not want this particular thing. I want to go to the previous commit. So what I can do is I can say git, right? I can say git reset. So I can say git reset and the hash value. So each commit has a hash value internally, right? Which is unique. So if you give this, you will go back to that same level. You will go back to that same level. But again, one more thing. So I will write this command git reset and then hash value. So this will go to that particular commit, right? Now, if you just want to go one commit back, in our case, we just want to go one commit back. So we could have done the other way also. There is one more way. You could say, you could basically say git, you can say git reset head, wherever head is tilde one, tilde symbol one. That means go one step back. Wherever head is pointing right now, go one step back. That means go to the previous commit. So it works well when you want to go one commit back, right? When you want to go behind the last commit that you did. So we are saying git reset. Let's say we have done 14 commits. We want to go back to 13th, right? The one before the last one. So this can be done. So you can see this. And whatever changes were there in SparkConf, right? Those are, let me show you the status of it. You can see these are there, but these are unstaged, not even staged now. So these are like the changes which, if we want to put it back, we have to first uh, do staging, that is add, and then commit, right? Let me again add this git add dot. Okay, I have again added these changes, and when I say git status, it shows this. Now I will use this one. So again, let me check git log. I want to go to the previous one, this, right? Is it the same? Yeah. I want to go to this. So I can say git reset. So this is more generic where you can go to any level. Git reset. Okay, I have already copied that git reset. So let me remove git reset and the particular hash where you want to go. So you can see the same thing what happened earlier when we say had tilde one, right? If I say git status, you will see the changes are unstaged, right? So you might be thinking that, okay, I mean, I want to get rid of it totally. It should not even show here. Is there a way directly that we can do? Right? It should not even show here that, okay, these are untracked changes. Do you want to commit? Right? So let me first commit it again just to go back to the clean slate. Newest I will say. Okay. I'll say git status. Okay. So these changes are done. Let me say git log. I want to go back to see making changes conf latest, right? Newest is this one. I want to go back to this. Same hash. Okay. Now what I can do is I can basically give a argument saying hyphen hyphen hard, right? So it makes sure that okay, these changes are gone. Even it will not show that it's not staged or something, it's gone, right? So let me just try running this. So you can set this hard flag, right? So you can see this now. It's gone. The changes are even gone from your local. And if I say git status, it will not show that okay, there are any changes which you can stage and then commit. I hope this is clear. So if you I have shown you three scenarios. First scenario is you made changes, but you have not even staged it, right? You just made changes. Then you can say git restore that file name so that you can restore the earlier version of it. If you have staged the changes, then it's a two-step process. You first say git restore hyphen hyphen staged file name so that you unstage that and then follow the same process which you did in scenario one. Third scenario was when you have committed the changes, when you have staged it and committed it, then how to go back. If you have to go one step back, then you can say git, then you can say git reset head, and you want to move head by one step back, right? Till day one. So if you want to just go to the previous commit, but in a more generic way, if you want to go to any commit, then you can use git reset and the particular hash. How to see the hash? Git log will show you the hash value for each commit. Each commit has a log value, each commit has a hash value associated. Now you can say git reset that particular hash value wherever you want to go. Now, but after this, you see those changes will be shown that okay, these files are modified and will show in your system. If you want to even remove those changes from your system, then you can do it with a hard flag like this. I've shown you this. So I hope you got a clear cut understanding on how to go back to the previous code which you want to go, right? In all scenarios, whether the changes are not staged, whether the changes are staged, or even if it is committed, how to go to the previous version, right? And this is quite important for you to know because uh, sometimes we end up making changes which breaks the entire thing, and we cannot break our head in thinking what changes we made and undoing it. Rather, apply the smart route and use these commands. I hope this should totally make sense for you, right? So with this we are done with this session where we have basically learned how exactly to go to the previous code base, and I hope you enjoyed it. In our next session I will continue our learning on git and github. Thank you. Hello friends, welcome again. So earlier in the previous videos we have seen two scenarios where, like, the first scenario was we developing the code, or we developing the uh, or we starting the project from we starting the project by creating a repository in github, right? We have seen that. Second scenario that we have seen is we starting a project by creating project in local first, right, rather than github. This is the second scenario that we have seen end to end. Now we will talk about the last scenario where, let's say you want to contribute to a project. Let's say your organization has a project, like some already big data project is there in your company and you want to contribute to it or add new features to that, right? So you want to contribute to an existing project. That means it's actually not your project, right? It's not that the project is in your repository and all, it's somewhere hosted somewhere. So you want to add new features to that. It can be within your organization or within your org, or it can be an open source project. That means, let's say you want to contribute to some open source project like Apache Spark. You want to change the source code and raise a pull request, right? So let's see this scenario, that how to go about it. The previous two scenarios were you were creating your own project. Now this is contributing to an existing project which already exists, right? You are not the owner of this project. Okay, so let's see. So what I will do is I will open my GitHub account. I am on my GitHub and my username is big data by Sumit hyphen trendy tech, right? It has two projects, finance project and lending club project. That's fine. Now what I want to do is, if you know, on YouTube, I have a I have a SQL playlist, right? You know that, and the notes for this playlist is uh, updated on GitHub. So it's not just the code, might be these kind of stuffs also, notes and all also can be hosted on GitHub. So consider this like a project, right? So since we are uh, trying to mimic a scenario, consider that instead of notes it's like a project which is there, and this is hosted on my another account which is big data by Sumit M, right? This is the username of that account where these notes are hosted in a repository. So what I will do is I will search for it. I search for I search for big data by Sumit M and notes of YouTube SQL. This I am seeing right now, right? So these are the SQL notes which are there. Consider this like a project, a repository. So this particular thing, if I want to bring to my account, right? If I want to bring to my account, what I can do is I can fork this, right? I can fork this. So first of all, let me log out from all the other accounts so that things becomes more clear. So let me sign out from big data by Sumit and big data by Sumit M. Let me sign out. So I am only signed in to the account which I have created in the demonstrations, right? Okay. Now, as you know that this thing is github.com. So I am just opening it fresh so that there is no confusion. And I am just logged in to my account which I have created in the demonstrations, right? And I can click on my profile and it has two repositories. I hope you agree with this. Now I want to work on some another project created by some other person. For this, I have created, let's say if you want to contribute to Apache Spark, just an example, Apache Spark project, right? Apache Spark. So you can see this is the project, which is a open source project, right? You can contribute to the source code of Apache Spark if you want, right? So I will not do anything with this, but I'm just saying you can open any project or any repository which is not owned by you. You can fork it to your account, right? Fork it to your account so that you get it in your account and you can work on it, right? So right now I will not do anything with this Apache Spark thing because the pull request and all will not be merged as such. So what I will do is I will open big data by Sumit M and notes of SQL, right? So notes of YouTube SQL series, and this is under the account Big Data by Sumitam. I do not own it. What I will do is I will fork this to my account, right? So basically I will click on this fork button, and I will click on this fork button, and it will ideally show you that okay, you want to create a new repository with what name. So I will have the same name, it's okay whatever it's showing, right? And I will copy only the main branch. If you remove this, it will bring all the other branches also, and click on create fork, right? It's creating a fork. That means whatever the code is there in the other account, I will write it. So fork means get the code or get a copy of the code from some other GitHub account to your account, right? And that's what I am doing. Done. So consider I want to contribute to this project which is owned by someone else. I did a fork in my account, right? If you want to contribute to open source Apache Spark, then you can fork that particular project, right? I hope this is clear. Like, let's say if I want to even fork that, let me show that also to you. So I will say Apache Spark, right? Here it is, and I can say fork, and it can come with Spark. That's okay. Copy the master branch only, create fork. So all the source code, whichever is there in Spark project, will come in my GitHub. It's a copy of it which will be coming, and you can see this. It will be a huge code base, right? So now let me go to my account and see repositories. I have forked two projects. One is the landing club, one is notes of YouTube SQL series, right? And one is Spark project. These two do not belong to me, so I have forked it from the respective accounts because I want to, let's say, contribute to it. Now, this notes of YouTube SQL series, let me open it. Consider this like a project, and I have some SQL notes here. For each session, there are around 16 sessions. For each session, there are notes here, right? Which have been added here. Let's say you want to make some changes in the README, right? You want to make some changes in the README, right? Then how would you go about it? How would you go about contributing to this project? Now, by default, it's all under the main branch, right? So if you want to contribute, of course, you would do it locally. First, you should get this from here to your local, right? So first step is number one, fork the project so that it comes from other account, so that a copy a copy of that project is created in your GitHub, right? It's there in your GitHub now. Now what you will do next? You will bring this from the GitHub to your local. You will bring this from your GitHub to your local. How will you do that? I'm very sure that you would know about it by this time. You will go to the repository which is notes of YouTube SQL series, code, right? Here in local tab, you have HTTPS, and copy this link to clone, right? So what I will do, I will open Visual Studio, okay, and let me open a new, create a new folder here. Let me open a terminal, and I will say cd desktop, and I will create a new folder called as uh, mkdir sql hyphen proj. Let me give this name, SQL project, right? So I have something called as SQL project, which is there. Okay, right? You have a look. Now let me go inside this cd SQL project, and what I will do, I will open it here. Open desktop SQL project, right? I have opened this project here. This is the one. And let me open a terminal also in my IDE, which is our Visual Studio. Let me clear the screen. Now here I will, let's see on what path I am. I am inside this SQL project. That's good. I want to bring this project here so that I can add something. So what I will do is I will take this path to clone, right? And my command would be git clone this particular path. Git clone, right? Now this is in my uh, GitHub account because we have forked it from the other account. So I will say git clone and this will bring it to my local, and you can see it here, all of this, right? All of this is here, and there is a readme file also. Let's say I want to make some changes in the readme file. I have always mentioned to you that it's not that you would work under the main branch, right? So let me just see git status first of all. It will say it's not managed by Git. Why does it say? Let me do a ls, and we have to actually go inside this folder, right? So let me clear the screen and do a ls. So we have to actually go inside this folder because this folder is managed by Git. So I will say cd and notes of YouTube SQL series. I will go into the repository, and if I say git status, you can see on branch main, your branch is up to date with origin main, nothing to commit. I hope this is clear. I will just hide this left side window. Now consider I want to add something to the readme, right? I want to add one more line in the readme file. That's what I want to contribute to this project. Just assume like that. Then what should I do? Let me see on what branch I am. I am on main branch. I am on the main branch, right? I want to basically create a new branch first of all, because I should not be making changes to the main branch directly. So what I will do, I will create my own feature one branch or git branch. Let's say I will say feature one. You can give a more meaningful name. Let's say I'm adding some feature. And if I say git branch, it will show me two branches, main and feature one. I have not, I have just created a feature one branch, but I have to switch to the feature one now. So I can say git checkout feature one. That means I'm saying please switch from main branch to feature one branch. Let me clear the screen and say git status, right? Sorry, git branch. And now it will show that our head right now points to the feature one branch. Okay. Now let me make some changes here. I will make some changes. Let's say this added a new feature called as feature 1, right? Added a new feature called as feature 1. Okay, so now I have made some changes to the file. Let me say git status to see what it shows. It shows that okay, one file has changed and it is not yet staged to be committed. So I have to First, put it to the staging area so that we can commit it later, because our commit is a two-step process. So what I will do is I will say git add dot whatever is there, put it to the staging area. And let me clear the screen. If I say git status, it shows what file is there to be committed. Right? Now I would be committing this. I will say git commit -m and some message. Made changes to the readme file. Right? Talked about feature 1. Something like this. Let's say I made some commit. I'll clear the screen and say git status. On branch feature 1, nothing to commit, working tree clean. That means we have committed these changes. If I switch back, if I switch back to my main branch, that change is not there. That change is not there. Right? If I say git status, all fine. Okay. Let me again go to my feature 1 and I can see the changes there. So that means this change is there in feature 1 branch of the local, not in the main branch. Okay. Now what I should do? I want to, so I will put it in my notepad also. We cloned it. We made the changes, desired changes. Let me see if recording is happening. Yeah. We made the desired changes. 4 is committed it by first adding and then commit. Right? Committed the changes. But right now, are the changes present on my remote? No, the changes are local. These are not on the remote. Right? If I go to my GitHub, you will not find these changes. So I will click on README. This is a README file. I do not have that change because the changes are on local. How to put it to the remote? How to put it to the remote? Push the changes to remote. How? Git push, and of course I should say origin and the name of the branch feature 1. Origin means from where I have cloned, right? By convention it is origin. You will not see this anyways. Yeah, done. I have pushed it to feature 1 branch. That means a new feature 1 branch will be created in my remote. A new feature 1 branch. Earlier it was just main branch. Now if I refresh, it should show feature 1 branch also. If you see here, feature 1. And if I click on feature 1 and click on readme, you should be able to see this change. But in the main branch, it will not be there. That's fine. That's expected because I'm not working on main. I am working on my own branch. Right? Now, are these changes in the repository of that person where I want to contribute? No. These changes are on my GitHub. I'll write it. These changes are pushed to my GitHub account, right? These changes are pushed to my GitHub account and not on the GitHub of the original project, right? That's how it is. Okay, just have a look at it. Fine. Okay, now what I can do is, let me go to my feature 1. Let me go here first of all and it says feature 1 has recent pushes 2 minutes ago, and it gives me option that you can create a pull request. Now it is intelligent enough. It says big data by Sumit M. Big data by Sumit Trendy Tech. It's the repository where I have forked, right? My actual repository on which I am, feature one branch. It says create a pull request with big data by Sumit M, which is the original or the upstream to it. So by convention, I will write it. By convention, when I say upstream, it means the actual project from where I have forked, right? Because that's the upstream, and origin is our account, our GitHub, right? Think it this way. So right now the changes are present on my GitHub, but not here in the upstream. So it is giving me an option. So in our case, the origin account was big data by Sumit Trendy Tech. This was the account, and the upstream account was big data by Sumit M. Right? So it's saying create a pull request. That means whatever changes you have in feature branch in this account, create a pull request so that it can be merged to this big data by Sumit M, this one, right? Main branch. So in the actual project upstream main branch, I want to get my changes merged. Then I cannot do it directly because it's someone else's project. Someone will approve it and would check it thoroughly and then approve. So I can only create a pull request and add some title to it. So title, let's say I say made changes to readme file, right? Talked about feature 1, like that. And I will say create pull request. I am creating a pull request, and pull request has been created. This request will now go to the person who manages that particular project, that particular account, right? So if I basically add one more account, that means that one, I am saying since I am the owner of that account also, big data by Sumit M. Uh, I hope I am entering the right credentials. Let's see. I am switching to that account, and I will go to repositories, and I can see there is a pull request which I have just raised 1 minute ago. And you can see there is some other pull request also pending. Might be some student has added something to it, but it's still not approved. So let me click on this pull request. So, so I am, let's say, the owner of actual project, right? Another person, let's say, and I am reviewing this pull request that what this person want to make a change. So made changes to readme file, talked about feature 1 and all of this. And here I can see what changes are there. This is the change. I can review it, right? All looks good. All looks good, right? I can add a comment if I say that okay, you please do this also, or write the code this way. Any suggestions if I have to anyone who is contributing, I can add here, so that those people can make the code changes and again resubmit things, right? But in this case, let me say merge pull request. Since I am the approver now, I can merge it. Done. The pull request is merged. That means in the main branch of the actual account, right? This is the actual account upstream, right? Here, if you see, this particular readme will have these changes now. These changes are there in the actual project upstream, right? So what I have done till now, I first of all decided what project I want to contribute to. Your, let's say, company has a project in some account, right? Say, right. So you will fork it to your local GitHub, your GitHub. Then you would basically, let's say, or let's say, even if you want to contribute to open source, so you would first fork that. Let's say you want to contribute to Apache Spark project, you will get it to your account, a copy of it using fork. Then you will do a cloning of it in your local using git clone and the URL, right? So that you get it in your local. Now you basically create a new branch, and I will say create a new branch to make changes, right? Do not make it on main branch. Then make the desired changes whatever you want. Commit the changes by first adding and committing. Committing is a two-step process. And then you push the changes. So when you push it to that feature one branch, let's say, so it's not there in your main, it's in feature one, but it will show you option to raise a pull request, right? So you then uh, so you then these changes are on local, okay. And then sixth is create a pull request so that your changes, right, from your your GitHub account in feature one branch, in this case feature one, right, can be merged, to upstream. Upstream is the place from where you have forked the project, upstream main branch, right? So you created a pull request. Seventh is some approvers will approve and merge it, right? So that your code will now be visible in the main branch of the actual project. That's how it would be. Now let me go back to my account. My account is this one, right? My account is this one, and I have this notes of SQL series, right? So these are the one. Your branch, your main branch, so it would say this branch is two commits behind big data by Sumit main branch. That means we have done some commits in the upstream which are not there in main. Because one thing you would notice, our feature branch, feature one branch in my GitHub has the latest code, but main branch in my GitHub is still not having the latest code, right? Because in my local I worked on a feature branch and I pushed that feature branch, so still the code in main is whatever it was earlier. So don't you feel we should be basically syncing that? We should be syncing our main branch. How to do? How to do that? Think of it, that how to get the changes from main branch of that to this particular branch. So what I can do is, here also main branch is not having the right code. If I say git checkout main, right, it's not having the code. Even the GitHub is not having the code. So how to get this code here on local, let's say. So now get the code. I want I want to get the latest code in main branch of local, right, local git, right, and also my github, because both of them do not have the latest code. So what I want to do is, I know that main branch in upstream main branch in upstream is up to date, right, and feature one branch in my local, or in my github, is up to date, right, in my github and local is up to date, right, I know this. So what I can do is, let me set this, let me write this command: git remote add, right. You remember when we were uh, like adding url, we had added something like origin and the url to this, right. Same way, origin refers to our account, by the way, right, from where we clone. Now instead of origin we can mention upstream, git remote add upstream, and we can add the part to upstream here. So let me just go to that account, let me go to this and click on profile so that we are in that account. Let me go to repository and notes of YouTube SQL series. I can get this path, right. So basically I'm saying I will call this url as upstream, and my local should know this. Whenever I say upstream, my local should consider this particular thing, right. Let me add this. I have added the upstream URL to this. Now, if I want to see where my origin points to and where my upstream points to, let me see this: git remote hyphen v, right? My origin, that means my actual account, is this one, Big Data by Sumit Trendy Tech, and upstream from which we forked is Big Data by Sumit M. Perfect, right? I'll write git remote hyphen v. Now what I can do is, on which branch I am? Git branch. I am on the main branch. I want to get the code from main branch of the upstream into my main branch of local. So I can say git pull upstream main. I said git pull upstream main. Get the code from the main branch of upstream, right? You can see this. And my code will be whatever the upstream branch had. I hope this is clear, right? Just have a look. Git pull upstream main, and I would have the latest code. There could be multiple ways to achieve it actually, but I am just showing you one way so that you get the code from the upstream main to your local. So first we set the upstream URL. We have set the upstream URL git remote. When we want to deal with URLs, we say git remote add. Earlier we have seen in previous sessions we set the origin, right. Now we set upstream. Generally by convention it is called as upstream, and we give this particular URL, right, which we have taken, so that instead of typing this URL we can just mention upstream and it will take. To verify, we can say git remote hyphen v to check where the origin points to, where the upstream points to, and so on. And we say git pull origin, sorry, git pull upstream, right, main. Get the code from main branch of the upstream. That's what we are saying. And we have this. now. And when I say main, you can see this code is there. I hope this is clear. And if I say git status, it says on branch main, nothing to commit. And now it says your branch is ahead of origin main by 2 commits, because these changes are there on my local main, but it's not there in the GitHub, right? My account. If I go to my big data by Sumit Trendy Tech, which is my actual account, right? Uh, you see here, if I go here, the main still do not have this changes. You can see this. So we can just push these changes to this. So we can push the changes. How? Git push origin, because this is origin main, right? Push the code in my GitHub repository main branch. Done, right? And now with this, if I say git status, it will say all up to date. And even the changes will be visible here. If I refresh, you will see it, right? Now this is one way. There could be more simpler way that you sync the fork, right? That's one of the easiest way, right? But again, I am showing you command line because in production and in real time scenarios, most probably you would be working with command line things, right? Otherwise, doing it from UI would be pretty simple. So what I did here in this entire scenario that I have explained, this scenario is first of all this scenario is first of all, earlier we have seen that you were creating your own project, right? Either you started the project through your repository or you started the project through your local, but it's your empty project that you are starting from scratch. But most likely when you enter a company, you would work on an existing project, or let's say you want to contribute to a open source where some code is there, you want to enhance that. Then how to go about it? So first you would fork it to your GitHub account, right? And then you will get that code from GitHub to your local. Then you will make the changes in a new branch. Basically, you will push this branch to your GitHub account. You will create a pull request so that some owner can merge your pull request in the main branch of the actual upstream, right? And then you will basically get those changes from that to your local main, because your local main still do not have the actual content. And then you would put these changes or push these changes to your GitHub main, origin main, right? So this is the complete workflow, and I would highly suggest that you practice on your own, because just listening to the lecture won't give you that clarity. If you practice, then only you will understand what I'm trying to do. And I said there could have been an easier way by just saying sync fork, it would sync it, right? But I'm not teaching you GUI. GUI, there is nothing to teach actually, right? In industry, the way things work is through command line, and that's what I'm giving you an idea. And by convention, your GitHub, right, is referred to as origin, and the upstream or from where you are forking is referred to as upstream, right? That's what I have shown you. So with this, we are done. I'm again saying that you practice in order to understand this. Just listening to the lecture won't help you. With this, let me end the session. I hope you liked it. Thanks a lot. Hello, friends. Welcome again. In the previous session, we have seen that how you can contribute to an existing project, be it open source or be it any other project where you want to contribute. In the sense that the project was already available, you want to make some changes or add new features to that. In this session, I want to talk about another thing which is very, very important. Let's say you are making some changes in your code. Let's say you are making some changes, let's say in the conf file. Let me make few changes. Let's say hive.database. I am saying input dot file dot path equal to let's say user uh, public, and let's say input file dot txt or csv. Let's say I'm saying this. So I have opened basically the landing club project, which we have landing club project one. In one of the sessions, we have created that, right? So I have opened that in my Visual Studio. In spark.conf, let me add uh, spark dot uh, spark dot executor dot memory. Let's say equal to 2g. That means 2 GB, right? In my transformations, let me add a transformation called as transformation formation 2. So I have made a few changes basically. Now what I want to do is, let me see the git status. First let me see in which branch I am. Git branch. I am in feature 2 branch. Let me move to feature 1. Let's say git checkout. Okay, anyways, I have made these changes in feature 2, so it's fine. It's fine. uh, I have made in feature 2, that's okay. Now let me clear the screen and say git status. Now I have these three changes. Let me let me uh, put one of this or add one of this in the staging area also, just to create that scenario. Right now all of these three are unstaged, right? It cannot be committed because these are not staged. Let me stage one of it. So let me say git add. Okay, now if I say git status, I see one of these changes is staged, ready to be committed, other two are not even staged. This is the current scenario. Now consider that I want to say, okay, I am working on this, I made these changes which I have not committed yet. I want to park these changes somewhere in the backside. I so that I can say that okay, take all of these changes and put it backside so that I can again get whatever it was earlier. And whenever I want this changes back, I can bring it. Is there a way that I can put these changes somewhere or park these changes for some time and later get it whenever required? I hope you can understand what I am trying to say, right? I will say git status. This is the current scenario. This change and these changes I do not want at this moment, but I do not want to discard also. I say that please keep it at a place so that whenever I request for these changes, I can get it. Right? So keep the changes in a place so that we can later retrieve it. Right? But I do not want these changes now. So there is a command called as git stash. Git stash. So basically we can stash these changes or park these changes. So let me just show git stash. It says saved working directory and index state WIP work in progress on feature 2, right? So basically let me say git status. It says all clean, and whatever changes I have done, I have made some one line change here, I have made some one line change here, I made some change here, everything is gone, right? But is it permanently gone? No, we can retrieve it whenever required. And how to retrieve it? We can say whenever we want, let's say we can say git stash pop. That means please get the changes, and it has got us the changes. If you see project.conf, we get this line. If we see spark.conf, we have got this line, and in transformations.py also we have got this, right? But you have to see one thing, I'll write it here. git stash pop, right? So you have to see one thing, that whatever we have staged also is unstaged now. All these three become unstaged. So even if you have some staged changes ready to be committed, which we have stashed, will come in the uh, unstaged area. I hope this is clear, right? Okay. So we have understood about git stash to park the changes somewhere, and git stash pop to retrieve the changes, right? We have seen this. Now let me go back again here. We have retrieved the changes. Now let me park it again. Let me park it again. I will say git stash, right? And you can see the changes are gone for now, right? Now what if we want to get rid of these changes altogether? I want to get rid of these changes. It's not that I want to bring it back, I want to clear all of that. So there is a command called as git stash clear, right? Git stash clear to clear the stash area, right? I'll just show you that. Git stash clear to clear it. Now if I say git stash pop, it won't work because the stashing area is clear. No stash entries found. The changes are gone now. We cannot bring it back because we have cleared the area, right? I hope this is clear. Okay, so let me again, I can do control Z since I was typing here. Let me again get those changes here, and I will say git status. I see these three things. Okay, now what I will do is, let me try, first of all, let me try adding these two stash git, or let me do one thing. This transformations.py, this change, let me remove. I'm not making that change. I only change the configuration files, let's say, right? When I say git status, I can just see these two files I have changed. Okay, right? You can see this. Now what I want is, I want these two to be added to the stashing area. So I will say git stash, right? Okay. Now if I say git status, all good. Now what I want to do is, I want to make changes in this transformations.py, let's say, right? And I will say git status. I will just see this, right? I just see this. Now let me again add this to stashing area. I will say git stash. Okay. Now I have done two set of things, or added two set of things to stash, right? It's not just one thing, it's two set of things. In the first one I added these two changes, and in the second one I added transformations.py. So there is a way we can see list of stash entries, right? It's basically a stack, right, which keeps adding up one over the other, right? So whatever comes last will be at the top, like a stack. So I can say git stash list, and you can see this. So this was earlier, and then after this we have this. I hope this is clear. So if I say git stash pop, this one will be popped up, right? That means whatever transformations.py is there will come up. Git stash. Okay. So if you see here, transformations is there, but configuration files are still not showing the changes, right? And now if I say git stash list, it will only have one thing, right? Because there were earlier two entries to this. Now there is just one entry. If I pop this, then it will bring these changes back in the configuration files. Git stash pop, right? Now we have this. So we have this also, and we have this also. All the things are there now. I hope this is clear. Now the stash is entry. If I say git stash list, there is no entry in the git stash. And I will show you one more thing. Now these entries are there. It's fine. What I will do is again, let's say I would remove this and I will say git status. Okay, now I have these two files again, the configuration files. So while stashing, I can give it a meaningful name so that later we can recall from there. For example, I can say git stash, right? So I want to stash these two changes. If I say git status, I have these two things which I want to put it in the uh, I mean some area so that I can retrieve later. But I want to get rid of these things now, right? So I can say git stash. I can give some message. I can say save this stash with this message that change in conf files. Okay. Now let me make the change here and I will say git status and I will again put it in the stashing area. I will say git stash save change in lib files. Okay. Let me clear it and say git status, right? Now let me see the entries in the stash, git stash list. And you see by default there is this kind of IDs, but now it has names also. Change in lib files, change in conf files. And whatever stash we want to pop, we can say git stash pop. If we just say that, it will take the top one and pop this, right? But otherwise we can mention that okay, we want this, right? For example, if we want to pop this one, we can say that, right? So these two came to the uh, unstaged area. These two changes came. You can see here, right? But transformations.py is not there. Now we can say git stash pop, right? And then we can give this one so that it will be popped, right? I hope you got a clarity. So when will you use stash? Let's say you are working on a feature, you want to park those changes whatever you have done and start again. And later you want to bring those features back, right? So that's how you will use stash. One thing that is there is one thing that you have to make sure is, let's say in lib I am adding a new file. Let's say I say new file, whatever file it is. Now, if I say git status, I see this untracked file because the new file comes in the untracked list, right? Now, if I try to say git stash, right, and I say git status, the untracked file, which is a new file, will still show up. That means by default, when you stash, new files are not considered, right? It will not be stashed by default. I hope this is clear. So what you need to do is to stash this so that I will write it to stash even the untracked files. That means the new files that you have created, you need to write git stash -u. That means even the untracked files, u means untracked. So even the untracked files will be stashed, right? So I will first say git stash pop so that everything is here. Now I will say git stash -u. Even the untracked files will be stashed. And if I say git status, you see this. I hope this is clear. So what commands we have seen? We have seen the command till now is git stash to stash something, git stash -u to even stash the untracked files or new files, because by default stash will stash the modified files only, not the new files. And we have even seen git stash list. It will show all the list of uh, stashes that we have, like it's in, think like whenever you stash a new thing, it's added in a stack, right? Then we have seen git stash pop. It will take the top entry. Otherwise we can even say git stash pop and give whatever, like stash at the rate, right? You have seen that whatever entry we want to pop out, that we can do. If you want to clear the stash, you can say git stash, what is that? Git stash clear. All of this you can do, right? To give a meaningful name to the stash also, we have seen, what was that? Git stash. While stashing, you can say save and give a message, meaningful message. I hope this is clear. So stashing can be really handy. Let's say you started, you kind of got the code from the main branch, right? And you created a new feature one. Let's say you created a new branch of yourself. You started working on a feature, and you wanted to now test some other thing, but you want to take the code from the very starting. So you can park your changes by stashing it, and later you can bring it back. I hope this is clear. So with this, we are done with stashing. This is kind of a important thing, and if you are working on Git, then definitely you would use this feature sometimes, right? Quite important for you to understand. So with this, we are done. I hope you like the session, and in the next session, I will talk about how to resolve, or what is a merge conflict and how to resolve them. So, with this, let me end the session, and I hope you liked it. Thanks a lot. Hello, friends, welcome again. In the previous session, we have seen how Stash works. In this session, I will talk about that what is a merge conflict, and how to deal with it. So basically, merging means, think about merging. Let's say in main branch we merge our own branch, then it's like making the code same for both branches, right? Let's say you add a new line in your code in feature one and you merge to main. That means kind of in main branch the code will be same as your own branch, right? Now conflicts happen in merging when Git is not able to identify that what change to take. Let's say there is some main branch. Consider there is a main branch, and you are, let's say, working on feature one. You kind of based it from main. That means initially you took the code from main in your feature one and made some change, right? And your friend or colleague, he also took the code from main branch and created a feature 2 branch. You both are working on, let's say, something, and you end up making change in the same line in the same file. So let's consider I have this lending club project. Let me see what is the branch I am on. Git branch. I am on feature 2. Let me just go to main and delete the other two branches. I will say git checkout main, and I will say git branch hyphen d, right? Feature 1. Let me delete first of all. I will create newly, and then I will delete the feature 2 also, and I will say git branch. I just have main branch. Let me create a new branch feature 1 from this. Git branch feature 1, right? And git checkout feature 1. Let's say someone is working on feature 1 branch now, and they make some changes. Let's say that the changes are on, let's say, spark.executor.course. Instead of 5, someone made it 4, right? In feature 1 branch. Now this person, let's say, push these changes. Git push origin feature 1. I am putting it to GitHub, right? Git push origin. So okay, before this I have to commit, right? So git status, and I will say git add dot, right? And I will say git commit hyphen m, making changes in spark conf. Okay, and I say git, let me clean the screen, clear, and I say git status. It's all good. Now let me push these changes to let me push the changes where I want to push. I want to push it to, let's say, my GitHub. Git push origin feature 1, right? Git push origin feature 1. Done. Now let me go to the GitHub and check this out. I will just open lending club project, and feature 1 has recent pushes less than a minute ago, and it says compare and pull request, so that I can merge the code, right? And the change is that from 5 I am making it to 4, right? I am making it to 4. Okay, now let me just put it like this, making changes in sparkconf, and I will create a pull request, right? And since this is my account only, I can merge this pull request. So someone made this change, let's say, and another person working on this, right? Might be, let's say, I will first go to main branch. Another person created feature 2 branch. So git branch feature 2 and git checkout feature 2. So I first went to main so that I get the code from the main, right? Now what this person do is, what this person do uh, so this person made it as, let's say, 3, for example. He is making the line or change in the same line what previous person has made. Now if I say git status, it will show that there is unstaged change. Let me add it. I'm just doing it quickly because we have covered all of this. So I'm saying git add dot, git commit hyphen m, and I'm saying changing the number of CPU cores to 3. This is the message, right? And I will say git status, all good. Now let me push this change. So git push origin and in feature 2 branch. To my GitHub on feature 2 branch, I want to push. Okay, done. A new branch is created. Let me go to my GitHub. So you can see a feature 2 branch is also created and it says create a pull request and changing the number of CPU cores to 3. Let me give this as description, right? Now, if I try creating pull request, it says the branch has conflicts that must be resolved. So these are merge conflicts. And why are we getting this? Because someone has changed the same line on which we are trying to change. So Git will not know what changes to keep, right? So we can say resolve conflicts, and you will see this kind of lines that you have to remove. But you see, someone has made the change as 3 here. Earlier it was 5. Someone made it to 3. You are making it to 4. Now Git is not sure which change to keep and it's asking you to resolve it. So you are trying to make it to 3, but someone came and changed it to 4 before you did, right? So if you want to keep your changes and remove others' changes, you can do that. Remove all of it, right? Remove all such lines, and whatever you feel is now correct, you say mark as resolved, right? And then you can commit the merge, right? So that's how you can resolve this. And now you can merge this pull request. So when do we get merge conflicts? When you are trying to make a change on same line where other has also make a change and Git is unable to determine which change to keep, right? And whenever you are doing it, you will face these issues, and most likely you will face these issues when you are not in sync with the main branch, right? When you are not in sync with the main branch, then you will most likely face these issues. I hope this is clear, right? So with this, I have shown you that when do you get what is a merge conflict, when do you get those, and how to resolve, right? And it's straightforward. It's not that tricky. One last thing that I want to show: we are on which branch? Git status, right? Git branch. We are on feature 2 branch. If we want to see the difference between feature 2 branch and main branch, then there is a command called as git diff, and you can mention that you want to take the difference from main. So you are already on feature 2, so it will take the difference of feature 2 and main and show it to you. So you can see this. Basically, we removed this and we added this in the feature 2, right? That's what it is. So this way you can take the differences of two branches so that you know whether it's same or it's different, whatever it is. So it is a handy command in order to find the differences between two branches. Now if I try to take a diff from feature 1, right now we are at feature 2, right? You see this in your feature 1, it was spark.executor.core equal to 4. We have removed this and we have added this spark.executor.course equal to 3, right? So that's how we take the difference between two branches. So the difference will be taken between the current branch on which we are versus the branch that we tell, right? So that's how it would be. So, with this, we have come to the end of it, where we have learned what is a merge conflict. When do you face such issues? When mostly people are making changes on the same line and Git is not able to identify which change to take, and how to deal with it. You have to manually say what code it has to be so that Git knows that okay, this is how it has to be done. Also, in this session, I have shown you a command where I have shown git diff and branch name. so that you can get the differences between two branch, and it can be handy sometimes to know, okay, whether the two branches have different code or same code, or what is the scenario. So, with this, we are good and we have covered all the main aspects regarding Git and GitHub. These are super important when you are working on projects in real world. So, with this, I will end the session and I hope you enjoyed all these sessions around Git and GitHub. Uh, Make sure you practice it well, because just seeing the videos is not going to help. You should practice it more and more. If you get stuck, try to solve those, then you will be confident about this. So, with this, I'll end the session, hoping that you have enjoyed this sessions altogether. Thank you.